Tuesday, October 13th, regular meeting of the Blaine County School Board. Appreciate everybody coming. We've got a pretty good crowd here tonight. We'll start with Mr. Buttry doing the invocation and a moment of silence for Mr. Johnson.
Lord, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Okay, if everybody would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the minutes for the September 15th meeting. I have one modification. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add before I state mine? Lenore, under financial reports, it's just a clarification so somebody doesn't misread this here. It says, Mr. Shepard stated that the county and school systems are in the process of switching from cash accounting to accrual accounting. I would like you to add as part of the year-end closing. We're not changing in the way we keep our books, but it is adjusted every year at year-end. So if you would add the words as part of the year-end closing. Okay, with that, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion.
Second.
Ms. Puckett.
4.
Mr. Buttry.
4.
Mr. Bailey.
4.
Mr. Shepard.
4. The next item we'll do is public comment. Do we have anybody signed up? We'll have several that were sent in. Is there any, Lenore? Okay. Any choice on order? You want to do that one first, or you want me to read the ones first? Okay. What did you say, Scott? Okay, Ms. Blessing, you have the floor.
It's all good. It's under 3 minutes, I promise. Though I have to write big. I'm here representing the Education Association. We met last night. We talked about a few things, so this kind of covers a lot of that. We wanted to begin by saying thank you. As BCA members, we want to tell you how much we appreciate the board listening to us and granting our requests that we get that Monday and Tuesday off as virtuals. The week of Thanksgiving for online teaching. We're grateful for our administrators who have been asking us their opinion and taking into consideration the teachers' thoughts and feelings when they're planning the future of what we're going to do for reopening. We want to thank them for their support. They've provided us a lot of that. This has been the hardest year that we hope to ever face as teachers. The school year has been difficult for everyone, teachers, staff, administrators, parents, grandparents, guardians, students, and board members. Instead of preparing for our normal amount of classes, we're having to prepare for 2 groups of students and virtual students, times all of the amount of classes that we're teaching, sometimes 2 and 3 times what we would have done in previous years. And all of this extra work has gone unseen, unspoken, and unpaid, obviously. Though all of these problems are due to the pandemic and they can't be fixed, there's some issues that we hope that you could help us with. One of the difficulties we're facing right now is a lack of substitute teachers. and electives in the high school was another thing that was brought up. Both of these things we hope that you could address. Maybe if you were to advertise for a substitute teacher, we have had numerous cases where we've had to have aides cover our classes when we're out in case of an emergency. Some of our high school teachers are endorsed in more than the things that they're teaching, and they would be willing to rotate classes, teach different things so that they could add more electives to their schedule. Therefore, they could do other things and they could rotate out students. Lastly, everyone is doing their best to make this school year successful for all of our students. There have been many, many negative comments made towards the teaching profession this year, and we're feeling very disheartened. Any ongoing encouragement over negativity that this board could provide to the public would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We do greatly appreciate what you're doing and understand how difficult it is. And the other thing is it's always nice to feel very successful. And I know this year there are a lot of students struggling, which makes it hard to feel successful at times. So we do appreciate all the effort and know this is a year like none of us have seen. I'm going to remove my mask so I can read these, and hopefully it'll come into the microphone clearer. We have a number of comments sent in by parents, which I'll read. Hello, my name is Sarah Pruitt. I am the parent of one of the high school students. I had planned on coming in person tonight to speak, but had to work. Virtual and hybrid learning aren't working well for some families. I had even considered removing my son from. In my opinion, the more days the children can spend in the classroom, the more beneficial it is to be for them. For many families, mine included, the virtual and hybrid learning modules have been major stressors. I know things have been no picnic for the teachers either. There are assignments that get missed because they are on different tabs in Google Classroom and may or may not show up in What's Due box. When something that is to be uploaded from a phone to the documents via iPhone note, but neither the student nor the parents know how to do that, and the teacher didn't respond to a message thread prior to the due date. What do you do other than turn to what you've completed? I feel like our children deserve the best education that can be provided. By all means, make virtual learning an option for the parents who feel that the classroom is not where their child belongs at this time during the pandemic, as there are many health issues at play. But for those of us parents who feel that our children benefit more being in classroom, open the school week up to more days. Thank you for your consideration in this matter. Sarah Pruitt. This next one, I'm going to leave a couple paragraphs out, a couple sentences out, because it identifies people, and that's not proper at this time, but I'll read enough that I think everybody understands the gist. I'm a concerned parent of a young girl that just started into the 7th grade at the county's high school. I've spoken to the school board office, Tyler, and my school board member regarding my concerns. This student is struggling big time. What is normally an average student making the honor roll several times. Right now, the current process is hurting her. She is not slipping through the cracks. She is plunged through. She is failing big time. K through 3rd grades are not getting the education they need at this early age. No 12-year-old should be stressed over homework. It is evident that she needs instructional teaching, something that can only come from a teacher. Her mother, myself, and I have paid someone out of pocket several days to tutor her, but with no success. These children deserve the best education they can get, and they are not getting IT with the virtual learning. I ask that you please open the schools back up full time. Do this for our kids within our school system. Carol Hall. Next one, Rachel Palmer. As an educator, I could give you an exhaustive list of why children need to be in school and data upon this. However, I am writing as a concerned parent to the board in reference to the current instructional plan of hybrid virtual learning. As a parent of a 4th grader, I feel as though her educational and social emotional needs are not being met through the current hybrid plan. I am watching her and other children lose valuable education experience that can't be returned or caught up. My daughter is suffering emotionally due to the stress of virtual learning because she is not neurologically ready for the demand of this style of learning. Our schools provide shelter, food, mental health support, love, and education to the children in our county. My daughter is fortunate, but many youth in our community do not receive this anywhere but school. They need us. They depend on us. I urge the board to consider opening school 4 days a week, as many counties in Southwest Virginia have already done. Wearing masks all day will be an issue, but I feel that concern can be addressed through scheduled mask breaks and shortening the school day. There is no perfect solution, and pleasing all stakeholders is impossible, but I hope the board will consider transitioning hybrid students to 4 days a week. I can emphasize with students who want to keep their children full-time virtual due to health concerns. I certainly support them being afforded the opportunity to continue virtually, but other parents should be afforded the opportunity to send their children to school for in-person instruction for more than 2 days a week. Thank you for your time and all you do on behalf of our students. Rachel Palmer. Let me begin by stating that I am beyond grateful that our children were able to start school the year with hybrid learning option, knowing that other local school districts were only giving a virtual option. However, after watching the September 15th school board meeting, I am concerned by the fact that you did not proactively set forth a plan of action to look at getting K-3 students back into the elementary 4 days a week. When speaking freely as an educator myself, the fact that we are unable to put forth a plan to start our transitioning process disappoints me. In the September meeting, a concern was made that some students may transfer to virtual learning if more students return to school. Though I cannot speak for all parents, I would be okay with the requirements it would take to go 4 days a week for K-3. Those that are uncomfortable with their children in group settings are likely already doing virtual learning. It is pertinent to have serious conversations with all stakeholders. Something as effortless as a survey sent out on Remind to gauge parents' reactions and phone calls to those that do not respond to the survey would give the school board a clear idea of how many parents truly feel. As Mr. Buttry brought up in the September meeting, a simple non-biased survey could be generated asking for parents' comments and opinions on the return of K-3 students. As for the matter of having to wear a mask, the children have been champions, in my opinion, when dealing with this. I asked my daughter if she would have an issue with wearing a mask all day. Her response, "I don't mind. I sit at my desk and I get to take it off." Again, this could be something brought up in the survey. Furthermore, making educational plans for years to come is essential, but we cannot sidestep the fact that we are overlooking the immediate situation. Our younger students need to be in school. Creating a plan to return should take precedence while simultaneously discussing future building schools. It is inconceivable that something so important as returning to school is taking a back seat. While I understand the concern for social distancing, a plan must be put together, as Mr. Buttry had requested in the September meeting, so that we can move forward, preferably sooner than later. K-3 are pivotal years for children. As a parent of a kindergartner and a former public school teacher, I am seriously concerned with what the effect of not being in class will have on all of the younger students in the years to come. SOLs alone will likely show the lack of an in-class education in the primary years as the students progress through high school. I know the teachers are doing everything they can and are great at their jobs. I have been very pleased with what my daughter's teacher has been doing. That is why I believe teachers would be able to easily adapt to one group of in-class students while maintaining the virtual class if need be. A comment was made that you did not want to burden the teachers with changing their routine. Again, during the last meeting, we are in a pandemic where change is routine. The teachers have adapted very well. Perhaps if you haven't already, you could have individual conversations with the K-3 teachers to see how they would feel if you were able to offer one class 4 days a week. With the COVID-19 statistics remaining where they are for Bland County, implementing a transition plan for K-3 is completely manageable. Not everyone can be pleased, but you need to look at the educational value of returning K-3 students to school. If you have a well-communicated plan with stakeholders, transition will go smoothly. Thank you, Kelly Shelton.
I'd like to just make a comment on that one. We went into the meeting with the intention of discussing bringing K through 3 to school and to work a plan up, but Mr. Grimm brought up some excellent points that we hadn't really thought of, and so we decided to delay our plan to bring in the K through 3 and all kids through. So I don't want to make it look like we didn't have a plan. We did have a plan, but Mr. Grimm brought some excellent points up and gave us a reason to rethink our plan. So I don't think that there was a lack of a plan. We had one. It just, we went to a different direction. So.
And I think that'll be obvious in this meeting. Okay, this last one is a little different direction. On behalf of the Bland County Community Watch, I would like to request permission to use the high school parking lot and possibly the grassy commons area at the high school to host a fall craft bazaar. This location has easy access and is quite level. There will be adequate signage stating the proper guidelines that are to be used following Health Department regulations, and we will not need access to any of the buildings. The purpose of the fundraiser is to raise money to put towards purchasing signs to be placed throughout Bland County in various communities. The proposed date would be either October 31st or November 7th, with the hours being from 9 a.m. until approximately 4 p.m. Depending upon the access, possibly another one towards the end of November or the first part of December. I've already been in contact with the county as well as the health department to make sure there's no problem with holding the request permission to place 2 18 by 24 inch signs at each of the schools that have Bland County Community Watch on them. Signs have been donated by members for this purpose. If approval is granted for replacement. Please find attached a copy of the sign that is being printed, which was designed by Lake and Dillow. Thank you for your consideration in this matter, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Dreama Hatcher.
That's something we need to put on for action.
I think we probably do. That's going to take a amendment to the agenda. You want to do that now? Make an amendment?
Yeah. Do you have any more?
No, that's all.
I make an amendment to the agenda for action items to discuss the use of the parking lot and grassy area.
That would be item H,
H.
under action item. Can I have a second for that?
Second.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Petrie?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. Next presentation is VSBA Bullying Prevention Month.
Yes, sir. Forgive me for not getting up, but I'm pretty sore today from working up there at the high school. So, high school's working on me. Yeah. With that being said, this proclamation of bullying prevention. So,
Is this to your wife?
Yes.
whereas school bullying has become an increasingly significant problem in the United States and Virginia, and whereas over 20% of the youth in the United States are estimated to be involved in bullying each year, either as a bully or as a victim, and whereas students who experience bullying are at increased risk for depression, anxiety, sleep difficulties, lower academic achievement, including verbal, physical, and most recently in cyberspace, and can happen in many places on and off school grounds. And whereas it is important for Virginia parents, students, teachers, and school administrators to be aware of bullying and to encourage discussion of the problem as a school community, and whereas the VSBA has developed a model policy on anti-bullying to encourage behaviors and to eliminate bullying behaviors. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Bland County School Board joins the Virginia School Board Association in recognizing the month of October as VSBA Bullying Prevention Month, with the intention that the issue of bullying and its prevention be discussed in Bland County classrooms during that time. And Mr. Chairman, you need to sign this.
Additional comments on that?
Okay.
She missed that.
Do we need to make a motion to approve that as a board? Okay.
No.
All right.
Now, we all understand how big of a problem this is and how tough it is to manage. But bullying is defined in so many ways, and with social network, it gives many more opportunities than were there when I was a child, since we only had a party line to talk on.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, is Mr. Purdue here?
No, sir. He had emailed the update for the jams, everybody to the school.
Okay.
I invited him to come, but I guess he had some conflicts.
Okay.
He did send you, I think, a pretty lengthy email defining all the things that Jams is planning.
12
Right.
pages?
Took me a
That's
while
short
to
for
read
him.
it.
That's kind of short for, yeah, that's kind of short for Mr.
Well,
Purdue.
this will cut the meeting by an hour.
Yeah.
Busy guy.
Y'all should be glad he's.
No,
not here.
he does, I want to say, he does a remarkable, fantastic job in all facets. And one of the facets is fundraising.
Yeah.
And he does it with Jams, Junior Appalachian Music being one of them. And, starting with these young children in the elementary school and really giving them an opportunity to show their talent. This is a tough year because usually they're sitting around with 20 students and somebody teaching them how to play a guitar or a fiddle or a banjo. Well, we can't do that these days. So he's putting together a program, I think, pretty much virtual. I didn't have time, I didn't know it was even there yet, but I have talked to him on this, and so he's not going to give up. But it's hard to have a marching band at this time. And it's hard to have a jams program. But like I said, he's done a great job bringing the money in, and his patience with these children is just beyond belief. I've watched him, da-da-da-da-da, play it again, da-da-da-da-da, play it again, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, so he's a remarkable individual and a tremendous asset. Okay, next item is enrollment. It's
Colton? A little better.
we're down 21 students from last year. Positive thing is that kindergarten this year is actually one of our bigger classes.
That's excellent.
And it's been a long time since I could say that. So, any other comments on?
How many did we have that are homeschooling outside of the county that would have been in school if it hadn't been for COVID? Do we know what that would be?
45?
There's 45 in all, and 25 of those are new.
Or new? Okay, so we would be real close to higher than last year if it hadn't been for,
Right.
yeah, so that's encouraging, so.
Next thing, financial reports. Probably the last year, we shut school down early, but also our enrollment was not as high as we hoped it was going to be when we put the budget together. But the result was we ended up the year with $346,758 left. And Mr. Mead and the board has made a request to the Board of Supervisors to roll this money over to this year and have identified where the money will be spent. And part of the money will be spent to recover the number of students that we lost from last year, and again, a reduction in funding compared to what we budgeted. So I think it was a very successful year last year. As far as finances this year, can everybody hear me okay with the mask? Okay. We've had 2 rounds of CARES money, and we were told yesterday that there's another round coming. And I think the amount that we're being offered on this round is $114,485. The problem is you've got to put together a plan, and you've got to have it spent by the end of the year, on
The calendar year or the?
calendar year. And of course, it all has, there's categories you can spend it in, all being driven by the COVID situation. So it's a great opportunity, but you know, at times you only have so many people that can manage these programs. So everybody at the school board office and elsewhere is really pitching in and struggling to get this done. And this will be one we talk about as the meeting goes on today. Anything else you want to say on the CARES money, Scott? It's
Excuse me. Beth Cochran's done a real good job of keeping up with the spending. We bring her in and she helps us out with that, but it's got to the point where it's become almost a full-time job, and remote learning and those type of things. So I'm reaching out to say we need some help, and anything that the board could be willing to let us proceed with, I would appreciate it. But I think we need another person to help us with all that. The pandemic has created a lot of problems, and every time we make a decision, it creates another 25 or 30 questions and problems. So it'd be nice if we had that extra person. So I'd like for you all to consider that tonight, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through.
the annual report that goes in has been completed, and it's a 40-page report, so there's very few people that are interested in reading it, probably other than me. But just to give you an idea of, I'll say, the caliber of people at the school board office and what they do, but when you look at just the revenues, the income that comes into the schools, it comes in all of these categories. And each of those categories has a set of requirements and a set of bookkeeping. So you don't get the money unless you fill out the paperwork, meet the requirements. And so it isn't that, last year's revenue was $8,331,130. But it isn't like somebody gets you a check for $8 million. You get $2,800 here, $24,000 there, $13,000 there, and all of this has to be kept up with and accounted for. And that's one of the real, I'll say, disadvantages of being a small organization, in that these counties that have 50 people in their school board office fill out the same report that the people here do. So I want to tell everybody here what a great job they do doing that. With that, we'll move into updates from the principals. Mr. Grimm, if you'll.
I think we have one more information on the agenda for the review of the bus route.
Yes, we did.
Okay, it's not on, okay.
D.
I'm looking live and,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You drove right by that.
Review of the bus routes. Okay.
Yeah, and I just had a complaint. Not so much a complaint as much as it was a concern about the buses not being on the interstates and being more on the side roads, and not completely understanding that. And I just said I would address it and talk about it. But the person was talking about being more mountains, and if you broke down on an interstate, you're on the side of the interstate, but if you break down on 52, you're on 52. You're right there still on the road. And then, I talked about some of the current concerns we had discussed in the meeting. And, as far as accidents on the interstate, and their response was that there's accidents on 52 as well. And those accidents can happen, just as quick, and you have, trucks, large trucks, logging trucks and things on these roads and stuff, and whereas it's actually tighter on the smaller roads versus being on the interstates, and also with hidden driveways, cars coming out of driveways, the Loves truck, the stop there, how congested that can be at times too. So that was just some of the concerns that was given to me, and I said that I would discuss it, I would bring it up, and that we could open it up for further discussion and possibly changing if it was warranted.
Well, Mike's here, and I'm sure we can go back and recall when we first decided to put the buses on the 52 and on 77. And that increased what we thought was the chances of a terrible accident. So that was, and where is Mike? That was our reasoning, I think, at the time, Mike. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think we had 2 bus drivers here.
We had 2 bus drivers at the last meeting, and we asked them point blank this question, and the 2 of them said they preferred staying off the interstate.
Right. And is that the feeling of most other bus drivers? And
Yes.
okay, cool.
Well, if you break down on the highway or on a secondary road, you break down on the highway now where they're adding so many guardrails, there's nowhere to pull the bus to. You would have to ditch it in the middle.
Well, there's always this on the side on the interstate. There's
Yeah,
always a place to pull over. You're not
You
going
wouldn't
to.
even be able to open the door if the bus is on fire.
Right.
There's so many things that could happen that we're thinking more of the children instead of the equipment. We're wanting safety, wanting the children to get to and from the school as safely as possible.
And all of our buses have the Jake brakes, I guess.
The ones that run the mountain and that, yes, they do.
All of them do.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm
I do have something I'd like to give each.
a gift certificate for Big Mac.
This is a list of the drivers and sub-drivers we have, just to give you an idea of how tight we're running right now
Thank you, sir.
and the things we're doing.
Thank you.
As you see, there's a few. You're welcome. We have difficulty finding people that want to drive buses for some odd reason. And we're actually gonna have a class starting to 26th? October, last week of October, to try to get some drivers in here. With that being said, if you don't mind, I'd like to take a moment of silence we have lost one of our drivers.
We did that at the beginning of the
Did you?
meeting.
Okay, I
Yes,
must
yeah.
have been out there,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
thank you all.
Yes,
Thank you.
Good
That's
man,
very sad.
sorry to lose him.
yeah.
We need to look closely at hiring quickly as possible. We're all doing double duties. I've got mechanics driving, subs. The subs we do have listed, they work mostly at the farm, so it's hard for them to come. And if a route's down, so forward and get some people in here as quick as possible.
Yeah, we support.
Yeah.
Is Mr. Cox not driving?
Part-time.
Part-time.
Mostly it's a ball trip. He works at the farm too. And their hours are crazy. We know we can vouch for that.
I wonder if Don Hodock would want to drive a bus.
Absolutely. We were actually thinking about dropping one off.
We've done everything else. I mean, we might as well throw him in that too.
Okay, Mr. Grimm, I think you're up this time.
Yes.
If you don't mind, I would defer to Mr. Eastep, who is just dying for an opportunity to go first.
It's between you two. Just don't beat him up like you did Scott.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Big thanks to the office staff, everyone at the high school, but especially the teachers and students. We've made a decent amount of progress, and I think that their attention to the detail of how we need to perform in that school is a big indicator of that. Starting out with attendance, we've got 336 total. We've got a couple down from last meeting. We had one go homeschool and another one transfer out. We've got 220 that are hybrid, 91 that are online, and 25 that are attending our Tazewell's vocational school. Community communication, we've communicated our attendance policies, both hybrid and virtual. That's still a mountain we're looking over, but I think it's getting better. Communicated school pictures. Ms. Lethwich has set those up October 19th and 22nd. Our flu shots are October 20th and 22nd as well. Nurse Mary, she's not been with us the past couple of weeks. She's not feeling the best, so everyone keep her in your thoughts and prayers. Ms. Hodock has set up the PSAT for tomorrow. Students, we have roughly 20 students, 14 that are taking the PSAT tomorrow, and we are ecstatic that our meals are now free till the end of the year. So that's one of the big pluses. Student interaction, I'm sure Charlie's got a plethora of things, but the parking lot painting has been a real hit. We've got some teachers that have joined in on that. I've tried to get in on that. I can't afford the bill that Ms. Bailey puts on it, but the kids are really enjoying it, and it's a morale boost, and we appreciate the ability to do that. Student grades and attendance, you know, that's something we're still working on, and that's something that the kids are and the teachers are struggling with. We're making a concerted effort to reach out to every student that's not doing their part, but identifying those struggles and trying to make that the best possible plan that we can. It's difficult, but we're working through it and dealing with it as we go. So we've had a couple fundraisers come through, Beta, Prom. Coach Mal's doing some for basketball, so those have all been pretty successful. And some have just started, so we'll see how those go. Athletics, of course, we're still under phase 3 from the VHSL, so we're still tinkering along.
How's the football going? Is kids still involved?
They are, yes, sir. When basketball starts before football, that kind of took the life out of some of the kids that were going to football. But we still feel pretty strong that we're going to be able to field a team if we're able to play.
Right.
If we were to make that decision today, we wouldn't be able to play. So hopefully we can move out of phase 3 and move up to a different phase. So we've met, Curly's been instrumental in all the meetings that we've been to, region, district. We just had a group 1 meeting, set up all those schedules, and Curly's helped a tremendous amount with that, and I appreciate that. For the region, or excuse me, for the group 1, if anyone's not familiar, there's talk to reduce, or excuse me, increase the hardline cap on what identifies as single A. So anytime that number goes up, that's not good for the smaller schools like us, but if that were to go through, that would bring the likes of Radford down, James River, and already Giles. So there's a few more teams in there, but from an athletic standpoint, we're doing okay. Most importantly, safety. We've had a couple lockdown drills. The kids and teachers responded pretty well to those. We had a couple mishaps that we identified with JDM and got those fixed. Some interminglings that we needed to tighten up, and we identified those. Of course, fire drills and a constant commitment to student safety. Ms. Solene, all the teachers up there in Building B, kind of on an island up there, but they work hard to identify the needs that we need, and we try to meet those needs consistently. We don't get everyone, but when it comes to safety, we try to hit everyone. Shout out to the maintenance crew, JDM. They've been more than helpful. Anything that we've asked from them, maintenance requests are fulfilled in a day, 2 days. The band room that they just finished is immaculate. Mr. Perdue is extremely pleased, and we're excited about that. They were in a room that's about half the size of this, trying to get ready and be patient, and they were, and I think they're extremely proud of what you guys were able to give us, so we appreciate that. Been working with Sheriff Ramsey to identify some things from our school safety team. He was there today, and we discussed some things with our SRO, and We've made a hot take list that we need to identify some things at that school that could be better safety-wise, so we're working on those. And let me back up a little bit, I apologize, but back to athletics, and I know that's not the most important piece here today, but if we are allowed to play, there possibly will be, more than likely will be occupancy limits. And the
As far as the gyms and stuff?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right now, the word is about 250, and that's including teams, including officials, including Curly and myself, and anyone that's in the room, in the gym. So the NFHS is looking at a program through Pixelot that offers live streaming for events, graduations, and obviously sports, that we would be able to broadcast live to parents, grandparents, anybody that's interested. So we're in the very beginnings of that and trying to identify those hurdles that we may come into. But I think that would be a big step from our athletics department, and being able to offer that type of visibility and transparency, and not only for that, but for our coaches to be able to review tape at a different level than they're at now. So
Well, we have the equipment. I mean, we purchased the equipment for that reason, I believe. So we just need the people the people to run it. So
as far as video equipment, these cameras are designed or have software that follows the ball. And I don't know the kind of equipment we have right now, that system's out there that many counties are looking to get onto. The recording ability and clarity that those videos show. So we'll definitely look into the equipment we have, and if that's an option, we'll definitely go that route. But we want to be able to offer that to our grandparents, our aunts and uncles who can't attend those games.
is that a service that's provided, or is that a cost? Is there a cost?
It's a cost, but excuse me, at a certain point in the license, I believe it's 3 or 4 years down the road, we're able to monetize that with advertisements and different money collection processes that we can get through those funds. So Grayson County is our guinea pig with that.
Right.
I've been working with Dr. Wilmore and getting his feedback on that, and he is. It's worked well for Grayson. So.
Can you say that out loud?
Yeah,
You
right.
worked with Dr. Wilmore?
Dr. Wilmore, aka DJ Wilmore.
Yeah.
DJs all the games. So, again, I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you all so much.
Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate all you're
Thank you,
doing.
Tyler.
All you're doing. Get to take your mask off, though.
We'll do that.
Don't touch it.
What else you got? Help yourself.
Thanks, man.
Okay. I'll step back 6 feet. Do you want this?
No, sir.
It's not yours.
Carry on.
Good evening.
Get it.
Greetings from Blaine County faculty and staff and students. Let me get my notes here real quick. We are currently sitting at 334 students. I would say in the last month, we have probably invited back about 20 students from virtual back to hybrid. There's a challenge for a lot of families to making sure that they have the time and resources to be able to do the virtual piece, and when we've asked, they've said, yes, please.
How many came back on the high school side?
We have roughly 5 or 6 that have come back.
That came back.
We have made several phone calls to those students that are not excelling. And a lot of the responses we get are, we'll think about it.
Okay.
Or when you go 4 days, we'll think about it.
Okay.
So we've made those attempts.
All right, good deal. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
That's right, Mike.
I meant to ask that.
He just had to give a higher number than I did, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's competition. Everything is.
Yeah.
But look, more than 20. Right? Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're in the midst of working on SMART goals, starting the evaluation process with our teachers. We've kind of gotten to a point within our hybrid and virtual schedules that we have some sense of normalcy as to what's going on day to day. So we've kind of put that off intentionally to this point. Usually it doesn't take place this late in the year. And the teacher's like, wait, you're not giving us more things to do? No, No, we're going to settle in and see where we are and see how things play out. We do have one new aspect starting with our faculty. It's a sort of a aspect of, I just lost my wording there, sorry. Child study process. Kids are multifaceted, sort of like diamonds, and there can be mental health issues, attendance issues, behavioral issues, academic, and we want to make sure we're servicing all those pieces so our students can be successful. So we've sort of developed a brainstorming team to work with teachers so they're not alone in sort of working through and helping to solve those problems that students are facing. So that's getting off the ground for us right now. We've asked teachers to up the communication to students who are either failing with a D or F in class or failing to do the online virtual work from the previous week. I've asked teachers we will mail home progress reports. Times we're having difficulty getting the responses via Dojo or Google Classroom or possibly email or phone. So we've gone back to good old-fashioned snail mail in some cases to communicate some of those concerns academically that students have. And so that's such a strange thing to look for anymore that we get a better response from that at times. Teachers are actually invited to have conversations with parents about inviting students back if they're comfortable with that. Which is why we have almost 20 students who've returned to us in the last 4 weeks. We have had strong support from JDM, and we're loving that. The building is looking probably the best I've seen it in 9 weeks. But it's certainly to a point where the communication we have with our faculty from JDM or the staff from JDM has been great. They've got new people coming in and working with us, so we've been really appreciative of that. We do have currently a lack of subs. Counting through who is available on a day-to-day basis, we have about 13 individuals we share with the high school. So I had to put out some rough language to my faculty today about being careful about being out, but we understand when we're sick, we have to be out. So I appreciate their patience as they're watching online right now and probably throwing things at their computer screens as I say that, but it is a difficult piece where we have to pull individuals from other classrooms, double people up. It makes it very difficult, but we always have to supervise our students. So that's kind of where we are. The last 3 weeks, a lot of our grade level meetings, the focus has been on if we are to move back to a 4-day schedule, what does the faculty and staff want to see? What are their concerns? What are the positives, the negatives? What is non-negotiable in their sense, because they're the professionals in the front of the room. And I wanted to know what their concerns were so that when I step up here, I'm speaking for them. I have my opinions, but I'm not serving me. I'm serving our students and our faculty and our community. So I would be happy to speak about what some of their ideas were, that we've kind of taken a conglomerate of ideas and kind of streamlined them a little bit so that we can best serve our students, because they're very eager to serve their students as best they possibly can. And obviously the number one way to do that is how we did last year, before March. I don't think we're back to that yet, but we certainly have a plan and would like to be able to move forward if that's possible and it's the appropriate time to do that. So I will have a seat, and if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer those before I do sit down.
We'll be talking about the instructional plan here in a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another opportunity here. Okay, Supervisor of Technology, and technology is king right now.
Yeah.
Or queen, I should say.
Queen, yeah, queen.
Yeah.
Well, I left my, all of the kindergarten and pre-K have their iPads. They've all been handed out. They're using them. I purchased some tough cases for those since they're for the smaller kids, which was kind of neat. They were thrilled with the iPads. All of the 1st through 12th grade have been issued a Chromebook. We did have a few students and want the Chromebook. They were using their laptops, so that was good. We've spent a lot of time with Chromebooks, Nick and I do. We have seen a little bit of a rise in repairs in that, but we planned for that. We expected that, so we have a plan in place. When one comes in, we check it in and we check out the loaners for them, the librarians do for us. And when we do get a chance, we're just kind of evaluating hardware, kind of get get some of our older equipment updated, which probably won't happen for a while, but we do want to evaluate some new, better equipment than what we have in the division. So, but we stay busy. Stay busy.
Fact.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We know it's a crucial time.
Yeah.
Okay, Supervisor of Special Services. I have an old agenda and a new agenda. Don't believe what the computer says, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hello, how is everybody? Good to go?
Groovy.
Just a few updates. My list is pretty short this evening. First of all, just a STEM update. STEM in a Bag, we have about 80 participants in that program. We are in week 6 of the 10-week program, and they have set up a Google Classroom where students can post pictures of their completed projects. They can talk, ask questions of the teachers, those type things. So that's going very well. The second thing on my list, advisory committees. We had our advisory committee meetings a couple of weeks ago. SPED and Gifted met. Donna Pascas from the Department of Aging and Rehabilitative Services was at our special ed meeting, and she came and shared the programs that she has available for our students at the high school. So we had those 2 meetings. And then the third thing there, I just listed some various meetings, workshops, training, things that I have been to in the last couple of weeks. So, and that's a short list.
Thank you. Are they enjoying the STEM in a Bag?
They are. Actually, I've had,
Can you give us just a brief, what are they building?
they are, every week, they get a project to take home. We provide the materials. The virtual students are participating as well as the hybrid students. They have built, let's see, they sent me a slideshow, which I will email to you also, you can see. They did a catapult. They did, what was the whirly rocket thing? They did some kind of a rocket.
The
They did
whirly rocket thing, that's what it's
Really scientific there. That's good for a science teacher to be saying that. What else? Mr. May?
Listen, my kid does it, but I can't remember.
I just watched the video. I can't remember. They did the cat. Oh, they did a chromatography the first week and made butterflies. And then they did the catapult, and then they did the straw rocket. So it's some kind of an engineering project, usually, each week that they do. Like I said, they have the Google Classroom for the kids that are participating, and they shared that with me, and I was looking the other day. They're putting pictures up of their finished products or projects. They talk to each other about what they're doing. They ask questions. The teachers have little videos and things like that they're sharing. So I think it's been very good. The 2 lead teachers have asked me if we could possibly continue this and incorporate it into our grant in the future so that we're doing something year-round. And I'm fine with that. I think we can do that.
Okay.
So, all right.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, Superintendent.
Okay. I'd like to also reiterate the fact that I think we'll all miss Gary. Gary was a good bus driver. I talked to him probably just 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about the competition that I guess his loved ones went to, the horse competition and things, and I'll miss him, and I'm sure you will too. I mentioned of all the workloads that we're getting here with the pandemic, the need for having someone to assist us. Beth is good. Beth is retired. I don't know how much more work she can do with us, but I'd like to have her, and we'll see what happens with this. The band room is absolutely gorgeous. If you guys can get up there and see the work that Mr. Melvin's crew's done on that, it's beautiful. It's the kids that's in band are so proud of it. And I told them this is a result of your band director and you guys doing such a great job and hard work. And we were happy to do this for you. So they are very happy. They can spread out, and it's really nice. Please stop by the school and see the work that has been done there. Teachers, administrators, guidance, the staff has not just done a good job, they've done an outstanding job. And the kind of work that they're doing right now is pretty much indicating how much they care for our kids in this county. And I'm really happy that we have such great teachers, administrators, and staff members. And also we have good kids. Our students are really good students. It seems like the ones that I've come in contact with are happy to be back to school. I think once we get back in more of a fuller capacity, you'll see more kids come back. I think they miss school, and I'm really proud to represent the students of our county. PO is ready for the recording studio at Bland County High School. We'll be getting on that, moving on that, so we'll have a recording studio there in the near future. It's be another great addition for the high school and another opportunity for kids to participate in something. I'm really excited about that. The subs, I get it. We're going to do all we can to acquire some subs. We'll run classes. We'll run advertisements. We'll put things on Facebook, whatever we can to get some subs in here. I can do some training with anyone we get. We won't have to wait on the training. I'll do it as we get them. So to try to help our teachers out. I want to thank the high school for welcoming me there. It's been a real good experience working with the folks there. I've learned a lot. I've learned there's a process to grocery shopping. I learned that on the process out on the porch doing bus duty. So there is a process to it, and some like the process, and some do not like it at all.
You mean there's some people that don't like the grocery shop?
They don't like any part of the process. So
Weird.
it's and I didn't know that there was a process till I was out there. So I've learned that. The schools are really clean right now. The schools look good. The campuses look really nice. I take my hat off to John and his crew. They've really done a great job, and they make it look good for our kids, and I appreciate that. Quill, we've got another round of monies coming in for classroom enhancement grants. I think talked to John Dotson. We need to do a better job from Quill is telling our younger teachers and the people just coming in what Quill is. And so we have another pot of money to give out. And we just gave out, Lenora, correct me, around $12,000 last week to different teachers, not to just one, but like 6 or so different pots of monies to different people to do projects with. And With Bland Foundation has been very good to us, and we need to take our hat off to them every chance we get. But it's been able to help teachers do a lot of things they wouldn't normally be able to do.
Can you maybe get somebody to talk with your newer teachers and stuff and kind of let them know?
I want Mr. Dotson to do. He's so good at that, you know, and he's willing to come on your Monday professional development meetings or whatever we have, and he will talk to folks about Quill and how to go about doing your grants. And I think each school has a person that can help our younger people with the grants, our younger teachers. So. Also, with return to school, we had meetings with principals. We'll talk about that later. Principals have met with their teachers. Principals met with folks in their schools, and they've come up with, I think we've got a working plan to start easing our kids back into the school. The one thing that's been a question, because like I said, every time we make a decision to do something, we get questions and they come up. So I would like to take a little bit of my time today to talk about an issue that we hadn't thought a lot about, but I have a good person here that takes care of our nutritional part of our school system. And I'd like for her to get up and talk about how we're going to feed kids with social distancing issues and those kind of things. And also, how can we feed kids better with they're on the transition part of our school system. So, Kelly, I'll give you a few minutes if you come on up and talk about that.
Good evening. I want to first start off, participation is still low. Even though meals are free, they're still not coming through the line to get meals. We have, for the month of September, the elementary school gave away 2,566 breakfasts. That sounds like a whole lot, but it's not. Not for what they're used to doing. This same month last year at the elementary, they gave 2,843 they sold. So that's 143 a day last year, and they're doing 122 a day in breakfast. Lunch, they've done 26, 27 this year, September. Last year, they done 3,696, which is around about 185 a day. This year, they're doing 125 a day. So that number includes, this year's number includes take home, in school, virtual, and the county kids, any county kids that signed up that's not enrolled in school. So the high school breakfast this year, they've done 1,127 they gave away for September. Last year, they sold 2,190. So they're way down on their numbers.
You think it's because maybe some of the kids just don't want to take it home from the A's and B's don't want to carry it home, or do you think it has something
Yes,
to do
I
that?
do. I'm gonna get to that point
Okay,
too.
cool, all right.
Their
Sorry.
lunches at the high school is, this year, this September, they done 1,693, which is 80 a day. Last year, they done 2,662, which is 133 at least a day on an average. What we're wanting is delivery. We want to do our deliveries like we did during March through May. We reach more kids that way. We have parents that work and they can't come to school between the hours that we're giving out food. So if we deliver it between those hours, at least the kids are home. And I've talked to several parents. They don't have a problem with the kids opening the door to get their food. Some of them just ask us to leave it on the porch, and then the kids can come out after we leave to get it. That's for just their safety issue. If they feel more better about it if they can come out and get it after we leave. We're just asking that we're able to go back to the delivery. We're reaching more kids. We can reach more kids in the county, more kids that have grandparents that don't drive, their guardians, so they don't have any way of getting food. It's an option that they have, but they have no way of getting to the school to get that food for their kids. So me and my staff are asking that you let us do deliveries again, either with bus drivers that are not working on Wednesdays, paraprofessionals. Me and Mr. Mead has both talked about having those deliveries set up. We'd like to start that at least the week of the 19th. Start on a Monday. We are not delivering now, but we do parent pickup. They can pick up meals between 10 and 1 on Wednesdays. You have to sign up for the program, so we know exactly how much food to fix so we don't have any waste. The meals are being taken home by students on Tuesdays and Fridays for the hybrid kids. This meal system is open to anybody in the county, 18 or under. So everybody has the opportunity to get free meals. The USDA did approve for the rest of the school year that we are free. We're still waiting on the announcement from the state of Virginia.
Cool.
But the USDA has approved that, so it will go through.
Great.
I just feel like we can touch more kids that we need to touch, and we're able to see those kids.
How many
Versus-
drivers are you thinking you need?
I'm thinking at least 2 on both sides of the mountain. Do the split it like we did during the closure in March. We done from the top of the mountain down to come out of Land Elementary, and then from the top of the mountain to Rocky Gap. We did to come out of the Rocky Gap out of Land High School.
So we have 2 vans, what would you
We have
use?
2 vans. They use the Crown Vics, the bigger cars that we have, because there's just so much food, and they're in boxes this year. So it just takes a lot of room to haul the meals and the milk, because you're giving out food for 5 days, 5 breakfasts for the week, and then 5 lunch meals.
Yeah, I did one of those.
And all the milk that goes with it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got milk,
It's a lot
milk
of
and
milk.
juice,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Our one, me and old man Mead there run one of routes.
I just feel like we're not reaching the kids we need
He
to
was
reach.
such a
Mike,
slacker,
me and Mike.
such a
So I
slacker.
feel like that if we do delivery, that we're gonna reach, we have more of ability to reach the kids that need the food.
When would you do the sign up for this?
They've been doing it, we've been doing it since school started, anybody that wants to sign up for it, but we do that on a daily basis. They call the school or they can call here, just get in contact with me and I can get you signed up on the program.
You got individuals, like, they keep 6 to 8 kids
Mhm.
every day. Well, they can't load those kids up in a car and come and get their lunches and stuff. But we could easily deliver to them. And I know there's a need for it, because I saw it myself this summer, so.
I know the last 3 weeks that we've had signups, some people haven't came to pick them up, so we've had extra food left over, and we put it on Facebook that we have food available to the school, at the schools, if you just want to come by and pick it up. Several people do, several people don't, so we've been able to give to the daycare, Steps of Faith Daycare, with those kids, because we can serve any kid that's 18 and under, so we're touching that part of the county with those kids that go to daycare there, so.
What do we need for this to go ahead, Scott?
You just need to give us your okay, and Kelly and
I
I'll
need
work
to-
out the details.
I need the
Can we
drivers.
do that as part of, in our action agenda, as part of the instructional plan update, or what do you think?
I think we can, yeah.
It's
Okay.
just hard for those little kids to carry their backpack, a
Mhm.
bag of food, a bag of milk, and they're dragging it across the ground to get to the bus.
And
And by that time, it's emptied out in the bus because they've dropped it.
Or they leave it on the.
They leave it on the bus and
Yeah.
they're not getting what they need to out of it.
Biggest part is you give us the okay that we can approach, like parapros and principals and stuff, if they got ideas of who can help.
Yeah.
Mike and I will deliver.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll drive.
Well, I mean, you laugh about that, but Mike probably needs to see the county. It's a good way to, it's a good way to see it. We have a beautiful county, and it's, unless you get out there and go all the different places I did this past summer, you don't realize how beautiful it is, so, yeah.
Do you want me
Okay.
to talk about the cafeterias, the spacing, or do you want me to do that later?
You talk about how we're gonna have to work that out with the principals, I think, so we'll work that out with them as we get into this. I think they may even be able to address that later on. Right, guys?
Yeah, I kind of put a hiccup in their little plan today. But I'd like to thank my staff that's here. They do a great job every day. They've been asked to do a lot more than they've ever been asked to do. They stay over their 8-hour shift to make sure the kids get meals to take home with them, so.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
appreciate you coming tonight, too.
Yeah.
Okay, Scott, you have some more? or-
No, sir, I think I'm done until we get to the instructional plan update.
Okay, our student representative? Charlie? Yeah, you need to go to the microphone.
I won't take up much time tonight. I don't have too many updates. As far as clubs and extracurricular activities, things are still going very smoothly with the utilization of Google Classroom. I know that Beta has collected around possibly $2,000 just from the fundraiser, or that's what we collected. We just need to see what percentage we'll get out of that. But as far as the parking lots, that is continuing on. And it's more of a school beautification than anything, because it feels like we're bringing a brand new environment out there. So this past week, we completed Miss Hodok's, Miss Guzzy, which we're going to add on to hers. And we did Miss Bailey's and did the FBLA logo for her. And actually tomorrow, we'll continue on with that. Maybe you'll see a hokey symbol out there, maybe a deer or two. But as far as that goes, we're really excited as from the student perspective to be doing this opportunity. It just brings more liveliness, and we're thankful for the opportunity. On behalf of Virginia 4-H and the Virginia 4-H State Cabinet, I would like to thank y'all and all the school districts out there. as far as we're looking into program of work, we're structuring more utilization of webinars and Zoom meetings. So I was going to speak a little bit about Virginia 4-H and how the state cabinet is looking into addressing community needs. So our purpose statement this year is our purpose on the 2020-2021 Virginia 4-H State Cabinet is to enhance the Commonwealth of Virginia as a statewide geographically diverse group, serving as role models and empowering others where all individual voices are valued. And we're really stressing the civic engagement, and everybody gets to be heard in their community. So in terms of mental health, we already done a webinar, and many of the representatives across Virginia are working diligently to address food security, building community gardens, and really helping out the togetherness that we can expand upon. I participated in the SRTLC, which is the Southern Region Teen Leadership Conference, and they are recovering from COVID-19 very well, especially even like hotspots like Georgia and Tennessee. The smaller communities are getting really better outcomes to people catching the virus and seeing those hotspots dying down. So we're really proud of that. And 4-H really thanks the administration out of everyone and the dedication that y'all put for us. Anything else? Oh, we were also thinking that as the students want to get more community service and getting involved, we're looking into webinars and possibly Zoom meetings that will basically cover do-it-yourselves or addressing certain needs such as mental health and basically building up an environment and a safe space to where students can come in and just feel the comfortability to talk about the stress of COVID-19 and the stress that's been put throughout many different types of situations. So more details can be released about that later, but I feel like that would be something a lot of people would benefit from, especially if we can get guest speakers and have them talk to the students and understand where they're coming from and their perspective. So other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlie, appreciate it.
We always look forward to you.
Yeah.
Okay, school board. Mr. Butcher, if you want to start.
I love the excitement. Charlie brings excitement. I'm excited to hopefully start watching some of our players. I hope that we'll be able to have athletics in come spring. Excited for, I know Coach Reed's leading a team outside of school and getting those players still gang-minded, but I'm excited for them. I want to say I'm appreciative of our food service staff, cafeteria workers for all their hard work, making sure our kids are fed. I know it kind of takes a wind out of all my sails. Everybody else has said everything, but that's okay. See all the pictures on Facebook of kids painting their spots at the high school. That's exciting to hear about the kids with STEM bags and then able to still participate. I know we've talked about, we're going to talk about even more about the return to school, but I know there's many people like myself that have been very frustrated. I think the hybrid plan's been good for us to get us going, but I know here a little bit later we'll talk about making the change. Not lastly, but lastly, I would like to comment on an unclear response that I made to a community member's social media post. This evening I would like to clarify that I want our students, teachers, and parents to know that I share their frustration in the education process at this time. Whether you're a parent taking the extra time out of your busy schedule to watch your child as they accomplish tasks of virtual or hybrid learning, a teacher ensuring students in person or virtual are getting all their necessary instruction and support, or as a student who's used to being in a classroom, and because the circumstances are of learning in our hybrid and virtual models. As a board member, I'm here to help in whatever way that I can help our students to receive an equitable education, to provide teachers and staff members with the tools available, and to support parents as we raise our children in an ever-changing world. I'm here to roll up my sleeves and to do whatever I can to promote the education of our students. I am for our teachers, staff, and school system. I look forward to seeing what our students are able to achieve with the inspiration from our educators, the support of our parents and guardians, and the school system that desires nothing but the best for all. And super lastly, some more exciting news. The Buttrey family is expecting an addition in 2021, so we're super excited about that.
Well, congratulations. Sharon?
Well, you guys don't know how, and maybe you do, how important every one of you are and how appreciative I am, because I've been there and I've worked with most of you all this time, and there's such a special bond, I guess, between everybody here, and I wouldn't want it to be any other way. And I appreciate everything everybody in the whole school system does, or anybody that has anything to do with it. The kids I love to death. I have for the past 40 years, and they deserve everything that they can get. And I just want to do what's best for the kids and the teachers, and I know it's just thanks to everybody.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you. Can I take my mask off?
You can take your mask off.
Yeah.
I just appreciate everybody, all the work. It's, I've been super duper busy at work, and I have not been at either one of the schools. I apologize for that, but we've just been up to our ears and stuff, so I've not been out. I haven't been out of the house in weeks. It's just horrible. And Charlie, I appreciate you talking so much about the mental health thing, because it's one of the things the company I work for talks about a lot, is the mental health of people being stuck in houses, especially with the larger force they have in New York, people stuck in apartments, not being able to get out and stuff. So that's something that's that's very real for people, that not being able to get out as much, and especially the elderly people and stuff. So, but appreciate the administration, Mr. Mead, the principals, Laura, Ms. Tate, all the other people in the office here, Kelly, everybody else, all the work that you guys done. The teachers, especially you guys, I got one that's at my house now, so I hear a lot of the stories that's going on. So I appreciate everything that you guys do for the cafeteria staff and bus drivers, everything that they do for the schools. That's, I know this is probably one of the hardest years, change and a lot more things going on. We've had a lot been able to look about going about different things, making changes and things. So I appreciate that. Tyler, appreciate you for everything you've done there at the high school, stepping up, and for all the effort that you put in. Heather says great things about you, so appreciate all the communication you brought to the teachers and to the parents and to the kids and everything else. So really appreciate you, and appreciate JDM for all you guys have done for us and being there for us and helping us out and stuff. And Karen, thank you for all that you've done for being there at the high school. It's a great position to be in. As far as, to me, I think if I had to go back and do anything in my life again, probably guidance counselor is probably something I'd love to have tried my hand at or something, but I appreciate all you do for the kids and stuff, so thanks a lot.
Yeah, this has been very uncertain times, and it's very much day to day, and that results in people having very short fuses and loss of patience, and we understand that. I want all the citizens in the county to know that we really do try and listen to them, and we really do try and take the pulse of the county. And we also know that we can't make everybody happy, and we're trying to do what we feel is best for the students. But, all the residents of the county are extremely important to us. And people have worked harder this year than any other year. We're lucky we've got a top-notch staff at the school board, and they've done a tremendous job with all these new things they keep getting hit with. It's like talking about all the meals and what we're doing with all this stuff. Just the cafeteria by itself, that one element is a major job. And there's so many more on trying to juggle all the numbers that are coming in and all the requirements to get the money and spending the money appropriately and all of that. So I just want to thank everybody for all the hard work, and want to let the citizens know this group is working extremely hard for them. With that, we've got quite a few people here that came to hear certain things. We've got people on looking at their screens at home that want to hear certain things. So we're going to try and move ahead. And I'm going to change the order a little bit and try and get to the things that I know people want to hear about. So,
And thanks to Lenore, too. I don't want to forget her, because I did not forget you, Lenore. So thank you, Lenore. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, there goes another lunch I have to buy.
Okay, a quick one here. Can I have a motion to approve the payments?
I'll make a motion.
I have a question.
Okay.
So on the JDM 45,000, so I know that part of it was for, I can't see for glasses, fogging up. There was 2 HVAC repairs, it looks like, for 36 and then 4,000.
Right, those were 2 units that weren't operating when they took over.
So did we replace units? Is that what the price of that unit, that's for the cost of the unit, or?
New units, and those were, one of them was at a girls' locker room.
The weight room down here, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that was actually materials, or was that labor, or was there a breakdown of that, or?
That was everything together.
Okay.
That was by outside service, though, replacing those units.
An outside service, or?
Right. That's correct, isn't it?
So you guys didn't do it, you subbed it out?
HVAC, no, sir, we did not do that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I don't have any other questions, I'm good.
Okay, did we have a motion?
We have a motion.
Do we have a second?
I made it.
I'll make a second.
Okay.
Ms. Puckett,
4.
Mr. Petrie,
4.
Mr. Bailey,
4.
Mr. Shepherd.
4. With that, I'd like to go ahead and move into the maintenance projects. John or Sharon, would you like to just kind of tell us where we are with things?
Y'all will fight over it.
She does most of the work, I get the credit.
You're on TV, everybody, millions of people's watching, you don't feel nervous.
I'm
guys.
sure that they are. Right now, we have got the boiler rooms are clean now from years of neglect. Also, the ductwork was vacuumed out. We're ready to fire them up, which will probably happen either tomorrow or Thursday. At both schools, we'll fire up one, probably Bland Elementary tomorrow and then high school on Thursday, or maybe vice versa, whichever one works out the best.
What's their overall condition, you think?
The overall condition?
That's one of our biggest worries is boilers.
Well, you might, I don't know if they brought in a vacuum system to clean out all the
soot.
Soot out of the stacks and chimneys and
Okay.
And the ductwork.
and-
Yes, sir.
Okay.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
We had issues last year at the high school. When we started that boiler up, it dumped a bunch of smoke into the kitchen. And it'd be nice to try to do that when nobody's there. Isn't that correct?
Okay, I think that with this vacuuming out that ductwork,
Should help
that you're probably not going to see that this time.
Right, it cost us a lot of money to replace ceiling tile and paint grid work and do all that because of that, and it was due to this ductwork being stopped
Yeah.
up.
Yes, sir. The high school was in worse shape than elementary school. But that being said, the unit, one of them over at Rocky Gap, was manufactured in 1955. it's, that 50s was a very good year.
Yeah.
But, you know, and it's performing like it should be. You know, they've inspected it and it looks pretty good. The other unit's a newer unit, so the high school is probably in better shape. The elementary school, that one unit's completely down. They only have one source of heat, and that's that one furnace. So we had people working, we need some, temperature gauges and things, but they're able to find those. So we'll be replacing those. Those are parts, and we can put those on.
Operational one or the non-operational one?
On the operational one. We have a temperature gauge, and it's not expensive parts. I think the parts are around $400 and some, but that'll get us through. But seriously, on a serious note, you honestly need to look at putting in something else at the elementary school, because if that furnace goes down, you have no heat.
What about the other furnace? What did they say what it would take to get it operational?
The parts are obsolete. I think that school, I'm not sure when it's the original furnace unit, and it
Right.
probably was built, what, 40s?
No, it was built in the 60s.
60s, okay.
It was built after the other school burned.
Okay, but there's just no replacing the parts on it. They're telling me that. On a positive note, the grate system that we thought we needed for the elementary school, it does not need a grate. They looked at it and they said, you do not want to put a grate on that, because when the coals and the cinders come up, it pushes it up like a volcano out of that hole and goes into the side. So we don't want to do anything to clog it up, or we'll have more issues and things. But I think also there at the school, you know, they have a concern with the soot, or, you know, smoking up the school or whatever, and we're hoping we can avoid all that. So we're going to work on that tomorrow. That's a big deal right now, is our heat.
Yeah.
I think the coal has been ordered. If it was supposed to be delivered yesterday. Okay, but that's on order. We have coal enough to start up and stuff. We're just stocking it to get it ready.
We struggled finding coal last year, right? Did we struggle last year with the coal? We only had one source, wasn't it? Still one source, or?
We tried to piggyback on the prison farm because they burned
Yeah.
coal, and actually the same coal we burned, but they weren't willing to supply us.
Oh, cool. Good.
Okay. He didn't show up yesterday. He did go today, okay. Because when I talked to Jake, he said that he hadn't seen him yet. So we're working on that. We're winding down, thank goodness, on the yards and the maintenance outside. It was growing faster than we could keep up with. But that's winding down for a lot of, so the outside part will be done for this year. We were able to patch the parking lot where the buses came in over at Rocky Gap at the high school. And so that looks much better. There's no pothole right out there right now. We have a proposal in to patch the one at the elementary school. So we're waiting on approval for that. And all of our faucets have been installed. You know, it was a continuing process for us because we obviously hadn't cleaned during a COVID epidemic. So it's been challenging for us and stuff, but the staff, you know, we're fortunate to have the ones. We're adding on people so that we can cover everything that has to be done. We need to put up a petition in the boys' room at the high school, and that'll be done next week. We have the petition. We were just putting it up. Our, you know, our concentration was the band room, and you know, can't say enough about the band director. You know, when you have those many kids in band, that it says something for him.
Yeah. Right.
And so the band room turned out really nice. I'm trying to think of anything else.
Sharon,
Yeah.
what about, we had talked, I think John and I talked about the containers, the rental containers for the ash and stuff. What?
She's got the numbers on that.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
and I just need to know, you know, the
Yeah,
direction he
we
wants to
need,
go
we
in.
mentioned this, we need to sit down and go
And
over these
talk
projects.
over some projects, yes.
Right.
But
And
we're
then-
winding down on the, you know, what we came into. Every now and then we run across something that was there before we inherited. You know, you inherit whatever someone else leaves behind you. And so, you know, we've been fortunate enough to know right people. You know, John has some excellent people that work on the Melvin Enterprise side. And this is not a one-man job. If it wasn't for the support of you guys doing what you do, we can't do it. And it's not a one-man show. It takes everyone working together. And
it's for the kids. You know, I every time I go into school and I see something, I'll say, but these are the kids. Our kids are going here. You know, I echo Sharon's sentiment. You know, it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about our kids.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 grandchildren that are in the elementary school. Returned back to school last week, I believe. And they are struggling at home. And I know I speak on behalf of my daughter that, you know, she's ready for them to go back to school because they're missing a lot. They're in kindergarten and 2nd grade. So they are missing a lot. So if anybody has any questions about what we're doing or why we're doing something, you know, feel free to call the office or call my cell phone number, or you can get in touch with me. Philip and I exchange phone numbers, so anytime anyone has a question, you know, it's always better to go to the horse's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Right.
And I like directness. So
Yes, ma'am.
if anyone has any questions, I think that's all I can think of right now.
Well, I appreciate the praise for the band room, but everybody sets the man with the praise. Mr. Shepherd.
That was a 4-year project.
To find out to tear a wall down that we could
Tear
tear
a
down
wall
all
down.
That
anytime
couldn't
we
be done
wanted to.
now.
Well, you know, there's been a lot of positives. You know, when school starts back and they are able to have sports and little leagues and
Yeah,
things like that,
that's
they'll
good.
have a place over at the elementary school to park.
Yeah.
You know, we're working on the high school part and the complex. You know, you'll have at least they have heat units in there that work. They did not work, and there was no salvaging them. But you know, it's for the kids.
Yeah.
You know,
Appreciate
so
you guys.
it's a positive thing. If anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you for that attitude, and appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah. You know, people don't realize that this all didn't start till the 1st of July with you
Yeah.
guys. And, you know, the staff, everything, and get familiar. It's like these boilers. You know, they're old pieces of equipment that have been patched on and modified, and, you know, people got to learn things and bring in outside expertise, and so there's it's been quite a journey. So we appreciate everything.
Well, we had to weld some patches, some holes in the ductwork and some different things, but hopefully we won't have a set problem and never perform.
Right. Okay, what I'm going to do now is jump to item E, which is the instructional plan, because I think that's what a lot of people came here for and are waiting on. So, Mr. Mead, if you'll kick that off.
Sure. A couple of weeks ago, I met with principals and with Laura, and the principals gave me their input and what they would like to see. Laura and I agreed with it. We feel like this is a plan for us to begin coming back for a 5-day week. But at this time, I'm just going to read the bullets that came out of that meeting, and I know you're going to have a lot of questions, and I probably can't answer them, but I know Mr. Eastep, Mr. Grimm will answer those questions very quickly, right? Did you hear that, Mr. Grimm?
He went through his ear over.
Okay. First of all, we would like to have a target date of doing this, if possible, October the 26th. This date allows time for faculty and staff to rearrange rooms, make schedule adjustments, accommodate parent requests for switching from hybrid to virtual or from virtual to hybrid.
That's less than 2 weeks.
And if we discuss that and we feel like we need another week, I'll let these principals
Well,
address
you
that.
guys are the ones that makes the decision, so that's make it easier hard on yourself.
Secondly, students will attend school in-person instruction on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. For teachers to concentrate on virtual learning, extra cleaning, disinfecting schools, buses, etc. Teachers will report to assigned schools on Wednesdays. The school's day will be shortened and dismissed around 2 o'clock. In response to the amount of time students, faculty, and staff will be required to wear masks and to limit social contact. Teachers right now need some time. Releasing at 2 o'clock gives them around an hour and a half more that day that they can do some planning, they can do some more with the online remote type learning. Teachers need that. Our teachers are overwhelmed right now, and any amount of time that we can shift in their direction would be very much appreciated. Also, the one full day gives administration and teachers time to contact parents. I think if you would ask these principals now, they spend a good part of their day contacting parents, especially of those that's in virtual learning, to give them updates, to tell them here's what's going on. We need that day. So I'll let them elaborate a little bit more on that. All right, mask will be worn anytime 6 feet social distancing cannot be maintained on the bus or in the classroom, wherever it's necessary. The last one, and then I'll turn it over to my two gentlemen back there. Meals will continue to be served in the classroom and social distancing can be maintained. The cafeteria, empty classrooms, other spaces, Wagner will be utilized as needed, and we'll have to come up with some very creative plans on lunches. Kelly and I talked about that today. Mike and Tyler and I have been constantly talking about that. So that seems to be an issue line out there that we're going to have to jump on real quick. How are we going to feed our kids? Obviously, they can't eat with a mask on, so we've got to come up with plans how we're going to do that. So, with that being said, I kicked off what we would like to see happen. Now it's time for you guys to question us, and we'll try to answer all your questions.
So I know one of the comments that was sent in, someone actually mentioned a mask break, and I know that's something that they do in the Tazewell County, I think. I know at least from some people I talked to in their schools and stuff. So are we looking at something like that and how we're going to do for the kids? I mean, I don't know so much for high schoolers, but I know the little kids need it, and the high schoolers are going to need it as well, too. I'm sure Charlie's sitting there saying, I don't know if I want to wear this thing all day long. So have we looked at that, thought about that, and how we're going to do that?
Yes, sir. Like you said, other counties are doing similar. We looked at how Tazewell does their mask breaks. We've been in talks with Dr. Jeffries at Whitwell, and even with the shortened day, once you get the majority of kids back in these classrooms, they will have to wear their mask literally all day long. And it will be worked into the schedule. What exactly that will look like, we want to take that input from our teachers and our students. And that's a plan that we can have forthcoming. But a mask break is definitely part of our plan.
How do you shorten the days to be able to get out at 2 o'clock?
Well, we just had some interesting news from our Mr. Shelton here. For the 2 o'clock dismissal, he just brought to our attention that some bus drivers aren't available till after that. So we may need to reevaluate that piece. But we would shorten each period equally.
So they would have all the periods every day?
They would have all the periods each day.
They would just be shortened?
Correct.
Will that affect the time as far as getting in our days and hours or whatever that we're teaching, or is the virtual aspect will help take care of that?
It takes care of that.
Okay, that's what I figured.
A lot of those requirements have been waived by the department, so we'll have to look at that as well.
I know that Heather, in one of her classes, I guess maybe she told me her 4th period, that if she brought 2 classes together, that's going to be 36 kids in her room, and I've been in that room, and I'm not sure how. That's a tough room.
Back there in the back, Ms. Hodock, she is. She has worked really hard on that schedule, and teachers have been pulling out their hair with us because we've been making changes. But I think they understand. But we have a plan in place. It's not only Heather or Miss Bailey's class. Ms. Johnson's agriculture class is also teetering with some high numbers. We have a plan for the majority of those kids to be able to take an advanced PE class. We also have a plan for Miss Bailey's middle of the day art class. We don't offer a lot during those periods to be able to just move she offers, she teaches 7 through 12 in most of her classes. So we're working on a plan that will allow a second classroom to be utilized for her art room, and utilize one of our paraprofessionals.
And she hasn't complained, she just, I asked
No, I would
her
complain.
questions, so, I mean, that's.
I
I just simply asked how many kids she had, so.
She has 31 in one class and upwards of 30 in her 5th period. So, and that's assuming kids come back from virtual. She has a lot of virtual students that we have not confirmed if they're coming back or not. But in the event that we are in those higher numbers, we do have a plan that will work with one of our paraprofessionals to be an extension of Miss Bailey in a separate room. So, and that's with the help of Miss Hodock.
Several of your electives, I know were heavily booked. Will the students be able to keep those electives?
Art and Ag were the only two that were.
I thought there was a history one or Mountain Home Center or something that was also heavily booked.
Well, I mean, both our government classes are heavily booked.
Okay, government classes.
There's only 2 government classes, but there's like 63 kids.
We have 31 and 32.
Calculation that should have been done earlier, like 3 government
Yeah.
classes. But
Right.
We've done the best we can.
Right.
So
no,
what's our
that's- yeah,
solution to that? I mean, they're gonna be able to stay in those classes?
We divided them up pretty evenly between the 2 government classes.
The solution for right now is to replace what we've gotten, or we removed tables to prepare to social distance throughout most classrooms. We've been working with the surplus store to get us new desks in there for these replacements that we need to make. It really boils down to what is our interpretation of what is safe with masks on. How close can we be? And if it is every desk can be full with a mask, it's doable.
Are you going to need to purchase?
We already have, yes, sir. We've purchased
we could put-
roughly 30 desks right now for about $5 a desk. We have a good relationship with the surplus,
like
and they're sending us more from Richmond as we speak. So
Okay,
that's something we're working on this week and next week to get those in here.
because there was some concern on these government classes whether we're going to ask the students to change curriculum, but we're not doing that, right?
No.
Government classes will not be touched.
Government is a required class.
Yeah.
Government is a required class.
Yeah,
It's not an
that's a
elective.
senior.
One of the questions I had was, are we gonna pretty much bring everybody back on that date, or are we gonna do a phased approach? What were the plans for that?
Well, that's to be discussed, but the size that we are, let's take for instance, let me take this down. The high school has about 112 students on a hybrid day. Is that correct?
Roughly, yes, sir. We've got 220 total.
So if you bring that back together, that'd be 220 students in the high school. That's about a third of them, or a third or more of them that's doing the virtual. So, my question to you is, if you want to do that, why? When we're that small, we don't have the large numbers that some of these other schools have. Why would you wait to bring the others back?
I think it just prolongs the pain and makes it more complicated.
So now, is there a plan? So I know we talked about after this first semester, then people that went all virtual being able to come back. Are we going to stick to that since we're bringing all the kids back? Or are we going to do a phase, say like we'll bring A and B together for 4 days, go 3, 4, 5 weeks, whatever, and then make another invitation again for people that are 100% virtual to come back? Do we want to put, I know, because we were making the invitation for them to come back early, but do we want to put a halt to that to where let's see what happens when we double our size rather than, because if it's a third, rather than tripling our size, let's do a phased thing. Let's halt the invitation back. Let's get A and B put together, see how that goes, and then cycle those people back in.
Well, I think you could have people going both ways. Some people are going to say, well, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with 4 days, so you could lose. So, I think when we kick this off, it should be an open invitation.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
with
you
the-
see, they run the risk not just doubling your size, you run your risk getting bigger than that, so.
With the elementary school, I know you've got a different set of problems. While your students are smaller, they also have a tendency to congregate more.
Yeah.
With lunches and things, I know you've talked a little bit about trying to use Wagner I'm not sure for lunch, but to separate students. Do you have any other ideas as far as how to get more space?
I don't think we're building this year, so not necessarily. It does come down to the idea that we can maintain in classrooms a 3-foot distance between students relatively easily, but it is going to ask that students are wearing masks, as Mr. Mead said, when they cannot maintain 6 feet or when it's not 6 feet or less. So the idea of mask breaks means that we have to move the students more than 6 feet apart.
Right.
So we would maintain recess. We would establish a lunch procedure that we can give that kind of spacing. Some of our specials are set up so that would actually take place if we had a class in Wagner, which is large enough, or the gymnasium allows students to be far enough apart. The biggest and number one concern is the safety, and then right after that is making sure that we are actually providing sound and maintaining an adequate, or actually more than adequate at this point, instructional time. Because we can do that. We have maintained the guidelines where we are, and we've had no cases associated with the school. So we're pretty confident where we are with that, and we'll continue to go through those checks and balances as students come into the building. But we do not have more space. We can't just invent that.
We have a building there that was the old cafeteria that's separate. We worked very hard to get all the students in the building. And, it kind of goes against our concepts to say, let's move some out, but this is a very special time. And there are monies available. If we would do a quick refurb on those 2 classrooms on the upper floor of that old cafeteria building, would that benefit you?
It would. It would open up the idea that we could utilize Wagner for lunches. Doing a quick count of our space today, we could probably house an entire grade level for a lunch in Wagner using 6-foot spacing. So masks obviously would have to be off anyway, but we can follow the guidelines as written. And then I can house about 2/3 of a class meaning an entire grade level, in the cafeteria as it is right now. Not overly large spaces when you have to maintain 6-foot spacing. There are probably 4 classrooms that could continue to eat in there, or 4 teachers that could continue to eat with their students in the classroom. And we would balance out the larger grade levels to go to Wagner, and the smaller grade levels, or those that we can split them up with eating in the classroom still, to use the cafeteria. But it would be a pretty drastic removal of the cafeteria tables as they are now, because they're not designed. They're designed to hold 16 students, and we would be able to put 4 at each table the way they're lined up right now.
So you need different
tables.
furniture, essentially. Mr. Mill, would you be willing to take a look at that building and those rooms?
Oh, cafeteria?
Yeah, there's 2 classrooms on the upper level. I think there are 4 restrooms in there. You remember that, Laura? I think there's a boys and a girls in each classroom. We probably have to refurb the restrooms, new floor, new ceiling. I mean, we'd want to, but it's.
She's saying, wait a minute.
The flooring is in good shape. Actually, we used it for storage.
Right, it's got storage in it. They've got hardwood floors in them, except for, I'm not sure what's in the restrooms and in the closets. Some of them have some tile that we'd be concerned about.
As far as the teachers are good. For the most part, the teachers are good with going 4 days. And have you talked to your teachers?
They have been very vocal in the last 3 weeks, and these conversations have been very transparent in our building. They've shared recommendations, and that's kind of what we brought to Mr. Mead 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. I think there are concerns, but if we take the time and have the adequate time to prepare for that, we can alleviate those as we move forward. I think, it's a strange time. So
Right.
there
No,
should be
yeah, I
concern,
understand.
because
Yeah.
they're trying to protect our students.
Right.
So, but there aren't too many who are like, gung ho, let's go tomorrow. But, but ideally they do want them back 5 days.
Yeah.
But we're just not, we're not in that time right now.
Right.
So,
As far as your nurses assistants, they're good. It's going to increase their load as far as temperature taking when they get there every morning. I know Miss Funk has been out for most of the year, I think, from what I understand and stuff. So you've got a good steady sub for her, and
Fortunately,
okay, cool.
and an excellent assistant
Okay,
who
good.
steps up. So
The plan's been able to go over 3 weeks now without an additional case, so that's
It's 4
great.
or 5, I think, isn't
yeah.
Golf jinxes, sir.
it? Yeah.
So, what do we need to essentially say, this is our plan unless the situation changes?
It's an LEA decision. So you guys are gonna have to tell us, is this plan what we need to do? We need to go forward with this plan, and we will.
I think the only question is, how long will it take to get us where we're at?
To get you ready for it?
Right, and I mean, the feedback from the high school is similar to Mr. Graham's. They're worried about safety for the kids and themselves in those classrooms where.
You can do it in 2 weeks.
Well, that's the question.
That's the question at hand.
I mean, we're kind of blindsided Mr. Melvin here tonight saying,
Yeah.
get this space ready.
Well, he can't get that
That's
space ready probably in 2 weeks, I mean, possibly, but
But we're talking space that's needed to keep.
Well, what are you going to do as far as lunch there?
We have a couple classrooms that the majority will still be able to eat in their classroom.
Okay.
We do have some, like Miss Bailey's and some other classrooms that are up in that mid-20 level. And bases or planning periods during those just fourth periods. So our plan is to diversify the best we can.
Yeah.
And
Well,
take up some open space that we've got. I think if we get a little different furniture in our cafeteria, we'll be able to serve probably double what we're able to serve with the tables now.
okay.
So that may be something that we're interested in as well.
Well, I know it takes a lot of thinking outside the box, and hopefully this is the only year we can worry about this, but,
Well, we've got those. We've got vocational students who are
Yeah.
still only 2 days a week.
right.
Right.
That's a transportation issue, not issue, but hurdle.
As far as buses, what about buses? As far as how many kids can we put on buses, transportation? I mean, are we at a point where we can go unlimited? Can we get the kids on the buses and do it?
I don't see why not,
Okay.
as long as they're wearing a mask.
Okay, so as long as they're wearing a mask, you still want to have some degree. You don't want to have 3 kids on a seat. You prefer 1, 2 if you can, but definitely not 3. But we can do that. So
Would it help to push this to November 2nd? From the 26th to November 2nd?
Maybe.
We may need the time to get the tables that they're willing to use at the
it will help. Yes.
where does
definitely.
that put us in our 9-week periods?
2 weeks into it.
2 weeks into it?
I mean, I want to do it for the kids, especially the ones that are struggling at home, for the parents, for the kids and stuff. But I also I don't want to make it to where you guys have got enough on you now. I don't want to try to cram this in here in the last minute. We look at it and I want to be able to say if we're there ready to do it, but we're just not ready. You can pull the reins out. We need 1 more week.
Well,
Kind of like what we did with starting the school. So.
When we met, that was a week and a half ago, and every day seems like something else comes up. But
It's going to happen.
first
that.
9 weeks ends on the 19th,
Yeah.
and that's when people get to see parents get to see how their kids are doing.
Yeah.
The virtual kids and the hybrid kids and stuff, and I think there may be some surprises. And so we may see more kids coming to school, is what I'm saying. But I'm asking again, would you like to push this to November 2nd?
It might certainly be wise. We're talking we would have 2 Wednesdays to get ready if it was the 26th, and that first Wednesday is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I changed my first bullet from October 26th to November 2nd.
November 2nd, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is it easier for you guys to go 4 days in a row or go off 1 and 2?
So we had that exact discussion a week and a half ago. There are pluses and minuses, pros and cons to either side of that piece. One of the aspects is that parents would have to find daycare for their own children on that 5th day. Is it easier to do that associated to a Monday or Thursday, or Monday or Friday, or on a Wednesday in the middle of the week? That was a community concern. The consistency of instruction. We come back on Thursday. It's like starting a new week all over again in some cases for some of our younger ones to keep the routines in place. But there is also the idea of the reason that we're set up right now with the Wednesday off is for the deep cleaning that takes place on those days. So we've had that discussion in the past, and that's pretty much taking place on a daily basis, is what we've been told, and believe that, having seen the custodians go around. Yeah, they're very much.
I would think there'd be some advantage for the remote students, though, having teachers
Wednesday.
available on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That depends on the pacing of the course, as to when a student's assignments are first assigned and to when they're due. So it probably is a classroom by classroom discussion.
I just didn't know if it was easier for
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 kids.
continuation, Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you got all that. Or there you've got a break on Wednesday, but I wasn't sure. I mean, that was just something that your teachers have to answer, I
Yeah,
guess.
we debated those pieces a little bit a week and a half ago.
And you determined
It's 6-1 either way. You know, we need that day just most definitely for virtual students, so teachers can prepare and plan. But it's, how do you say one day is better than another?
Right.
Mike, you said we needed to move the dismissal time back some. What time did you?
I was along with Mr. Mead there at 2 o'clock. We would still be making up for instruction with virtual assignments for our students, regardless of which building we're in, that we're keeping that in place.
Yeah, I think I was talking to the one.
I was, out of mind.
Yeah.
I was looking the right direction.
Mike and Mike.
The earliest would be 2:30. We could work with that. That's the earliest they can do. We've got drivers that actually work other jobs that come in and work.
I guess we don't really have a choice but to live with that. Mr. Mead, is that a game breaker or?
Well, the whole thing about getting out at 2 was to help our teachers. And if we can't provide transportation, we have no other choice.
I
But,
mean, we're still getting out, what's the time now that the?
3:30.
We're getting out an hour early.
An hour early.
Gives them an hour a day.
So what time's the last bus drop off the last student currently?
6, maybe about 5:45.
So what time's that student load in the morning?
At 6:15.
So that student is getting on at 6:15 and getting off 1 hour earlier with a mask on the entire time?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the concern, and you can't, that's not up to you guys. This is up to parents and stuff. But you can't reiterate enough that they have to make sure that they're cleaning these masks, they're washing the masks, and this is not something that kids you want to wear a day in and day out the same mask without cleaning them. That's serious health issues and stuff. So hopefully parents understand that. And again, that's not your responsibility. That's just saying it out there so whoever's watching it can hear it. So.
Delaying the start of school by half an hour?
Whoa, April, sleep early.
Weather coming in the wintertime, that wouldn't be a bad
I
idea.
mean, is that a conflict with your drivers?
Pardon me?
Is that a conflict with your drivers?
No.
So right
What
now,
about the
school starts
teachers?
at what time?
8:30. So they would be starting at 9.
Would that help with the teachers?
Cafeteria, what do y'all think?
Any comment from the teachers?
A delaying,
We would just have to change our application for,
change your,
the application for the free meals,
oh, okay.
just for
Right.
the timeframe.
Yeah, okay.
How would that change the
Yeah.
time between you're getting ready for breakfast or serving breakfast and getting ready for lunch?
That's gonna be rough, yeah, because right now, we have breakfast ready at 7:45, finish feeding at 8:30, and then lunch starts at 11, so we're
You-
pretty close in between meals as far as our time.
Well, you would push
goes.
lunch back 30 minutes. You would push,
Yeah,
lunch
just
back
push
would be
it
pushed
back.
back.
And everything would move back.
Everything's gonna be
30
moved back
minutes.
30 minutes.
half an
So
hour.
that shouldn't change.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything's gonna just, if you done it at 10, you're doing it at 10:30. So everything's just gonna be pushed back 30 minutes.
Comment from teachers is
Yeah. You
coming
guys are
out,
in this
starting
stuff
half
too.
an hour later, a good or a
April
bad
gets
day.
to sleep another 30 minutes. I'm just saying.
So what do you want our comments on?
Pushing it back 30 minutes because, okay,
We're gonna go 30 minutes later than what we originally were in the afternoon. Do we want to start 30 minutes later in the morning?
So if you go from 9.
That's not an answer.
From 9 to 2:30.
I mean, honestly, my family's already on schedule, so I mean,
Right.
we're gonna be up at 6 o'clock anyway.
Yeah, vocational.
Oh, yeah,
That messes that up. You start changing the
Cause and
rules,
effect.
your vocation is-
Okay, so we don't want to change the morning.
Well, I don't know what you do. I think what I'm hearing, and I was thinking about that too, is we'd have to have buses on the road at the regular time to get our tech center kids over there. And we got 30-some going.
Yep. you
Or
don't
do
wanna
they
miss that.
drive?
Pardon?
Do they drive?
About
Juniors and seniors?
50% maybe.
Just 50%. So you don't want to.
So right now, the motion that's on the floor, I'll try and read
Hey,
it
hang
here.
on just a second. We had a teacher there.
Sorry.
Do you mind to hear another comment?
No,
No?
we want to hear comments.
I think, I work with students with disabilities. For sure, I think consecutive days works better to get them in a pattern, get them in a routine, rather than taking a day off in the middle of the week or a day in the week. So I would prefer if we looked at consecutive days versus taking off a day in the middle of the week.
That's just another thing for you guys to weigh. That's you guys tell us what you want to do. That's a thought. You may have already took that into consideration. You guys have to make the recommendation to what you think for us. I'm going to go with you guys are the experts, not me. It's whatever y'all want to do.
Or do you want to
Put
look
their
at
kids
that
together
item
back
some more,
there.
or how?
My recommendation's always been for the consecutive days, but that's having talked to my faculty and staff as to what they thought was best. And ironically, Josh is on my faculty, so it's just kind of not just his opinion, but that's been one that's been pretty consistent because we're working with little people.
Yeah.
And consistency is huge in how we're actually teaching.
Tyler, what's your comment on it?
The feedback from the teachers at high school is the opposite. The Wednesday has been instrumental with our virtual students and really a time to collect yourself midweek and organize what we're trying to accomplish. I've been on our evening bus duties on the board. We've been instructed that if we get rid of our Wednesday, we'll have a rough time. But
I mean, they get rid of the Wednesday, but then they have
Then they would have
Friday, and
Friday.
that's an.
well,
I mean,
that's what I'm getting to is
Karen,
we'll
what
make it
is
work.
your pulse? What do you think, April?
It doesn't bother me as far as what day, as long as we get a day. 'Cause
Right.
if we don't have that, then we're sinking.
Yeah. No, we'll make sure we do that.
Yeah.
Okay, just to look at this, we're going to have the students that the hybrid model will disappear.
Right.
Right.
So we're going to have the in-house students and we're going to have the virtual students. The virtual students right now, how important has Wednesday been to them so far?
Right.
If I could also add our vocational students, they're a Tuesday, Thursday, or excuse me, Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday.
Okay, so that messes up. See, I guess,
There's so much moving things.
yeah,
so-
my thought on this is I hate to throw everybody in the air. So if the virtual students have had a pattern, I kind of hate to change their pattern too.
I think you also have parents that have already arranged daycare. to
For
have
Wednesday.
Wednesdays as daycare, so then you're gonna throw in, and now they've got to switch and try to find daycare on Fridays or Mondays.
Okay.
So that pattern's already been set as
as well.
Okay, I'll try this again. The motion on the floor
One more time.
is to remove hybrid learning on November 2nd and go to a 4-day schedule, which will be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. The start time will stay the same, but school will dismiss at 2:30. And the students have a choice of either being on-site these 4 days or virtual, as they've had before.
And if they're currently virtual, we are opening back the floor to them to be able to come back.
Right, and we would like a commitment from them on the students for November 2nd. Are you going to be virtual, or are you going to be on-site?
I think that's something we need to know.
Yeah, it's, you're gonna take a poll, I guess, from parents to say, are you gonna do the 4 days, or you wanna go virtual, or you gonna do something like that, or are you just gonna go and?
We can look into
I don't, it may not be needed, so.
Right now, all you'd have to do is have input from the virtual people. Because
Well, not
you got the
necessarily.
hybrid A and B.
Well, not necessarily. When the hybrid A's and B's may decide, I'm comfortable with sending my child 2 days, but 4 days with 3 times as many people, I may not be comfortable.
But I think every student, you need to hear back. Are you comfortable with the new on-site? If not, are you going to go totally virtual and virtual?
I don't think it's going to change our decision, but I think for you to be prepared to know
how many students,
how many you got coming.
What you've got to do.
It also needs to be, and we had talked about this in our meetings with Mr. Mead and Mr. Graham, maybe some change in some verbiage and what we can mandate kids to come back if they're not performing. And I've got a lot of students who would be back tomorrow if it was mandated that they would be back.
But I don't think we can mandate.
I don't think legally you
I don't know that we can mandate a kid in the, huh?
I would make the argument that it's our responsibility to provide FAPE, a free and appropriate public education.
Right.
Right now, we've given them 2 options. If one of those aren't following FAPE anymore, then we could say, you've lost this option because you are not taking advantage of what has been given to you. And you now need to come back to school, or vice versa. You're
Right,
not
I
taking
agree,
advantage
but I
of
think
what's
that's a
facing.
whole separate argument.
Yes, I think that's what Tyler's getting at.
That's, yeah.
Right.
Is that
No,
message
that's,
there.
yeah,
And
we would
that's-
have to pursue the legal side of that.
Right, that's an argument that a lawyer will give us some guidance in.
Yeah, that's something, because as an employee, if I don't feel safe at work, if I don't feel comfortable working around a bunch of people in COVID, I don't have to go. So I don't know, I would think it would be almost the same for kids. But I don't know if we have to provide that virtual. I don't know if there was anything passed legally that said, you have to provide virtual for the kids.
Yeah, but we do that for our own benefit.
Right, no,
Because
yeah,
if
we did that,
didn't,
but I don't know if that
we
was
would lose
forced.
the
It
enrollment.
also keeps them enrolled.
Yes,
Yeah.
keeps them enrolled.
Right, no, I agree with that.
I mean, that will
And-
change the numbers.
Yes.
And what Tyler's alluding to too is I've been there to see the look on teachers' faces when they know that some of their kids are failing that shouldn't be failing. And it may be a fact that if we can't force them back to school, we take them to, I don't know. There's some things to look at. So
Kim,
that's a
I don't even know if
discussion.
we can do that, so that's beyond the,
That's a discussion for
Right, yeah,
another day.
that's a
yeah,
Let's-
another day. Okay.
But are you comfortable with the motion is? Okay,
Sure. I'll make that motion.
do I have a second?
Second.
4.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Mr. Buttrey?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4. And with that, life didn't get any easier.
Yeah. We just solved all the world's problems.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if people, you don't have to stick around for this unless y'all want to. If there's people here that want to go, if you were here for one reason and you don't want to be here longer, you don't have to be here longer. Just letting people know. Except for the principals and the people that have to be there.
And we do appreciate everybody coming.
Yes.
Okay, since I've jumped around, what did I
Development
skip over?
B.
On it.
It's nothing more than,
Laura.
you see the draft.
You're probably the most knowledgeable on that, aren't you?
The Elgin?
Elgin Foundation, the dental program.
Yes,
Could you do a brief,
Is this something we want to do?
yes. I mean, the Elgin Foundation, Mr. Shepherd and I met with them back early
Long time.
A long time ago.
Yeah, because I had Grady Davidson actually started the conversation about them last
And,
year, I think.
I was very impressed with them, and I think it's a very good program, that they'll be able to provide assistance for the dental program, that we were gonna start at the elementary.
I read over the contract and has talks a lot about the person that would be in school, the liaison or whatever, about the things that they have to do, what we have to, there's a lot of things that we have to do. Do we have the people in place to do that?
Now that I don't.
Well, I thought that was a lot of it gonna be through the ministry center. And
Okay, so now that I don't
Well,
know.
no, this is separate than the one in the ministry center. This is,
I thought this was
This-
pretty much providing the ministry center with funding to be able to fund those positions, to be able to provide the
The
care.
ministry center had funding.
There's a school-based dental liaison.
The Whitland Foundation, and then they, got in contact with, the Elgin Foundation, which is my understanding of additional support.
yeah, this is a funding foundation, and the thing I mean, saying that everything they said was factual, and we have no reason to believe it isn't. They're a very flexible foundation in that they want to make sure that children have good health care. So if you need transportation, they'll pay for that. If the kid needs braces or anything, they'll make sure that what's available pays the first part, and then they'll pay the rest so that there's no burden on the family.
So,
And I think the thing that we were amazed with was, don't assume anything can't be covered. We'll cover anything you present to us.
but this is the thing, step one on the handbook. The district should utilize, wait a minute, I'm sorry, dental liaison training, the second part. District should name one district dental liaison, preferably a member of the district technology department, and then one school-based dental liaison for each elementary school. So that means 2 people that we would have to be involved in this. And so then they would be for data collecting, for like in the screening provision, school personnel will facilitate the collection of signed form.
But I think all they're really saying is it's got to be somebody at the school that's managing the program.
Right.
And it's not a full-time job.
Right, but then treatment procedure, school-based dental liaison will contact the office of the participant. They have to contact the dentist for setting up the appointments.
But we were actually setting up a dental office in the ag building.
Right, but I'm saying there's somebody, they have somebody that's in our organization has
Well, at the time, and I know this was pre-COVID, so everything has changed, but at the time, we felt the nurse could do that.
Okay.
The nurse and the principal would be, managing.
So, now, of course, the nurse, but on the other hand, we've given the nurse an assistant. I think it would be foolish to walk away from this funding.
But again, here's another one, step 6. Dental treatment data will be tracked by the school dental liaison in cooperation with schools by obtaining lists of students being transported to that dental liaison has a lot of things that they have to do in this. Everything from insurance collection to.
What about the mission, the person from the Glen mission?
So there's somebody there that's going to be doing a lot of that then.
That was, yes.
Because it says here that the liaison should be somebody within the school district.
But there's actually 2 people, right? There's one in the school and one.
Right, but actually the school's supposed to have two. There's a district dental liaison, preferably a member of the district technology, and then a school-based dental liaison from each elementary school. So that's 2 individuals it's talking about. I'm just saying, I don't have a problem with it. It just, to me, unless somebody else is doing the work, there's a lot of work. There's work that has to be done on our side here. It's not just, they're going to take care of everything.
Well, you're basically going to keep a record on every elementary school child.
But it has to do with transportation to parents of what type of treatments they need. There's a lot of stuff that one person has to do. I don't know if anybody's read over it, but I just want to make sure somebody's read it and understands that there's things that we have to do on our part, and the contract actually says they expect us to do that. So if it's in the contract, we got to do it. So if we're going to sign the contract, it has to be done. So That's all I'm saying. I don't have a problem with doing it. We have to make sure we commit at least one person to this.
No, and there's no, there'll be a person responsible to say it's a full-time job. It's not.
Well, no, I didn't say it full-time, but I'm just saying that you're going to have somebody that's responsible for it.
Right, when it originally started, we felt the nurse could cover it in conjunction with the mission. But like I said, the nurse's responsibilities have changed now.
Here's like in the suggestions, a dental liaison should be carefully chosen based on excellent computer skills, knowledge of the school database software with a district dental liaison to oversee and train the school-based dental. I'm just saying there's a lot of, I don't have a problem with it. That's not what I'm saying. I just want to make sure everybody understands that according to the contract, they're expecting us to do a lot of information gathering and disbursement that, according to the contract, we would be responsible for. Now, whether there's somebody that's out there that's going to do it, but according to the contract, we are being held liable, not liable, but we have to do this. So if we sign the contract, we have to do it. So if everybody understands that, I want to make sure that we understand it. When you do a contract, it's in a contract. I read a lot of contracts. I do that for a living. So if it's in the contract, I'm not beating it.
Us to get some clarification on some of that?
No, I just want everybody to understand that I'm serious. If you've read over the handbook, it's in the handbook. What's in the handbook? There's a lot of information. And maybe it's something somebody's going to spend an hour a day once a week on. I don't know. That's the part I don't know. I want us to understand what we're doing. That's the only thing. Just make sure you have somebody that can do it. And maybe you say, yeah, this is no big deal. We got it. So I'm fine with it.
Well, it looks like it's my signature, so you and I will talk about that.
I mean, I don't have a problem with voting for it right now. If everybody says we're good with them, we got the people. I'm just saying with everything else that's going on.
After meeting with them and knowing what is going on with the, I'll say with Bland Foundation and Supportive Dentistry and the Ministry Center, this was kind of the final thing that made sure that all of our children had free free dental care in elementary school. So I'm a strong advocate of it.
Yes.
So do we have a motion or?
I make a motion that we approve the, what we call this, memorandum of understanding with the Elgin Foundation.
It's a elementary school district program agreement.
Okay. Elementary school program.
Dental
Dental program agreement.
Yeah. And I'll second it. I don't mind seconding it if we know what we're getting into.
Sounds like an elementary.
Mr. Petrie?
4.
Mr. Bentley?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
Okay, I'm going to jump to substitutes. Is there anything we can do to get more substitutes, promote more substitutes?
Got any ideas?
Keep pounding our Facebook. We haven't used that a lot in the past. We just had it, haven't had it that long.
Typically put it in the paper once a year. We do not typically get any responses.
I just think the Facebook.
It's always on,
I think more people read the Facebook than they do the paper, so
Yeah.
it's always on our webpage. You can apply year-round on our webpage.
How about us putting a plea on our Facebook page?
Absolutely. I have
Want
one
to make a
ready
motion
right
to
now.
do that?
Can we also add it to the newspaper and do school bus drivers and just
Absolutely.
substitute
We'll
teachers?
do it.
And that way we can, and maybe do something other different than our standard, looks very governmental,
add some
Wonder
flowers
why.
to
yeah,
it.
add some buses and some desks with apples
Our
on it,
kids-
something other.
Are you talking about for the
Candy
paper?
bars. Put
Yeah,
candy
for the
bars.
paper, in the paper.
I don't know if we have those kind of graphics.
Well, like I said,
I'll
Denise
do
can
that on
figure that
Facebook,
out.
actually.
You can find an
Denise,
emoji or
Denise.
something, an emoji with a mask.
I would make,
We use Indeed a lot because we can get hits. We can
like immediately off of Indeed.
We've used Indeed, we've used Indeed before too.
I mean, does that work for substitutes too, you think?
Handle it. Let them take care of it.
Okay.
Indeed.
Do we need to make a motion for that?
Make a
Usually
motion.
when we
I'll make
use,
the motion that we do that.
when we use Indeed,
Lord
you
have
get
mercy.
applicants from like Maryland and North Carolina
Yeah, but
and
for
Wyoming, and you don't really get
I'll
locals.
interview the people in Wyoming.
You
I don't
will.
have to go there. Though.
Well, you never know where it may lead to. I mean, some of these folks may be student teachers looking for a future job.
Willing to move.
Let's see. The
I
motion,
second the motion.
Okay, we got a second. Let's roll.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Mr. Buttrey?
4.
Ms. Beckett? For. Mr. Shepherd?
Or- What was item H?
We got the
Use of the
development.
parking lot.
A parking lot, yes.
Use at the high school for community watch
Oh,
funds.
Community watch,
yeah.
craft show or something?
She stated very strongly that the health department and everything was on board with this, which I was.
Are they serving food?
I think it's just a craft show, was it not?
I think so.
Why would it have to be the health department?
But I mean, it just
Just to
gets
make
me
sure.
that everything else is shut down, Festival of Leaves and
Yeah.
Yeah,
every festival in the county shut down and we're gonna have a festival or a.
craft show.
Yeah.
Then if we open it up to this, then we
Well,
run the
when
risk
we
of opening it up
did
to
the
anybody that
investment in
wants
the parking lot, that was one of the things is that we could use it for other
it. For
things. So
different
I mean,
things, yep.
using the parking lot is no problem in my mind. And, anything for the county, I'm for. The problem is it's just very peculiar timing. And it's very quick.
Yeah, it's a couple weeks. That's why I knew we had to put it as an action item then, so.
Because,
Tell them they'll be painting parking spots and we don't know.
she's saying October 31st, so it's very quick. Yeah, that's Halloween.
Yeah.
Charlie, when are y'all-
Yeah, and see, there
when
you
are y'all
go. If that's
finishing
Halloween, you
parking
can't be
spots?
doing
When are
candy.
you
We
closing
don't
that
want
up?
food, we don't want candy, we don't, who's gonna take care, who's gonna clean up, who's gonna make sure?
Like, debating on whether to do it or not, but, we can also move the painting on Saturdays as well. So we've been flexible on that. We've been, mainly sticking with Wednesdays because of the weather, but Saturdays are also doable.
So they've been using the parking lot to paint on
So
Wednesdays
that would
and
be a
Fridays, or
conflict
Wednesdays
of
and
interest.
Saturdays.
Wednesdays, Saturdays, yeah.
So,
I don't wanna disrupt that. so.
Like I say, I mean, I'm for this.
yeah.
It's just a timing issue and I think we need more information, don't we?
Yeah.
Or not?
I don't think we need more information. I think, one of the other things that we've done as a school system is we've talked about how that we're not allowing outside activities right now inside the school system, or inside school buildings. And outside, I mean, I don't know, I mean, something there.
So I understand what you're saying, 'cause if
Yeah.
we're gonna close it down on the inside,
Yeah.
should we do it on the outside too, so.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Eastep?
Well, this is the first I've heard of that.
we didn't get the email till
They
this
didn't get a
evening.
building
just
use
see.
form or nothing like that?
I haven't, no ma'am. I don't believe Mr. Mead has. I'm with Mr. Shepherd. I understand, we want to do as much for everyone as we can. But if it's something that's can be pushed back to when we're better prepared for that, I would feel more comfortable. I think you're going to run into more people and groups that are wanting to do similar things that we simply cannot do. But I understand both sides, so I'm willing to do whatever Mr. Mead and the board wants to do.
What about if we say, look, basically we're for it. The problem is how quick this thing is happening.
The timing.
And we'd like to see it pushed back.
Sounds good.
Maybe at a,
And more information, I
a
mean,
more-
I don't know that, again, the food,
Yeah, I mean,
is there gonna be
who
food
is-
served? I don't know that we want that.
Yeah, is there
Clean up.
food, how many booths and, just some more information.
Who's gonna be responsible for cleanup? I mean,
That's a good
we
part.
run into the wrestling fiasco of a few years ago, so,
Well, generally,
Mr.
can we
Graham.
table it?
and maybe this doesn't apply, but generally when you have that kind of event, they want access to restrooms.
Yeah, and restrooms is another thing, and I don't think we can give access to restrooms.
No.
I don't think we can. do
But
that.
you have,
They
like
can't
Mr.
have
Butcher
access.
said, you have said no inside stuff, and I've had to tell people that.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing is liability. I mean, what happens if somebody gets hurt? What's going to happen?
Yeah, so we'll table it and go from there.
Well, I mean, the liability we can probably cover, but, because we do other events. I mean, like I say, when we did the parking lot, that was one of the things, is that we could have flea markets and, community type things,
This
but.
is actually the first one that's ever approached us, I think.
Yeah, and, but the timing's so short, and at this time, we have so many issues to consider with it,
Yeah.
so.
All right.
Okay.
That's an action agenda. Do we need to just say we
Let's
table
make
it?
a motion to table that item.
Please.
I'll second that.
Mr. Buttrey?
4.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
Okay, item B. We got a lot to do since I'm only at B. But we've been thrown into this situation of changing the way we teach. And I think it's been amazing to watch all the things that have been developed since this COVID came in and school was shut down, and now we're having virtual and hybrid and all of this. And there's a time where you kind of let things run because innovation is developed by this person does it this way and that person does it that way, and they compare things and learn from each other. But as we've kind of said, something good has to come out of this COVID, and it has to be in the way we instruct our children. With that, I get frequent complaints on the difficulty that the parents are having at home, probably as much on the hybrid as I probably hear more about the hybrid than the remote. But this didn't work, and I tried to do that, and I thought it was here, and I thought I got the feedback in, and I didn't get it in, and all that. So I think we all understand this is very much a work in process right now. And we need to review everything we've learned. We need to understand what's worked well, what hasn't worked well. And I don't really believe that school is ever going to go back to the way it was. When the pandemic was hitting last year, and Mr. Mead was, fighting all the battles, my comment was, I'll be happy if we can just go back normally next year. Well, we know that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I had somebody tell me today, I'll be happy if we can just go back normally next year. That probably, depending on your definition of normally, is probably not going to happen either. This is a permanent change, and it's different for every grade level. We all recognize that, the smaller children have to be in class, have to have face-to-face instruction. On the other hand, when you get into the higher grades, we've somewhat taught these students how not to come to school, how to do it online, how to do it remotely, and how to have, I'll say, more control of their schedule, and also how to change the pace of their learning. Learn faster, learn slower, do everything. So we have to know how to move ahead. And what we're looking at is trying to put together the action agenda calls it a development of curriculum and online education. And with that, we need somebody to head that thing up. And it could be a lot of different titles, but it basically comes down to somebody that's going to direct the future of instruction in our school system, and is going to find out what we're doing right now, what we're doing wrong, hopefully reduce the number of options. You know, if you have 5 teachers, you don't want all 5 of them doing it a different way. So with this is an open discussion of how do we move this thing forward. And this is, as was said in some of the comments, this is a little longer term view than when do we go back to school again, but not that longer term, because the second half of this year, we need to capitalize on some of the things that, you know, people have found that's helped instruction. And we need to make sure that people standardize across the board so there's not too much variation from teacher to teacher. So it is also a very short-term thing, but in addition, it does have a long-term component.
It's a big job. And I think, you know, like you said, the future of education is changing. I think that we have to have somebody to be able to fulfill this role and in this position to help us direct the future of what Blaine County Public Schools will offer our children for the years to come. And whether that's also in our elementary, but also in the future, we would hope to be able to offer even some more VOTEC classes, other electives that we've talked about that can maybe inspire us into some ways that we haven't thought about outside the box, even outside of the United States, but within the confines, if you will, of what may be considered by the DOE and even the Federal Department of Education is acceptable, and provide some guidelines and guidance to those subject areas.
Yeah, one of the things that's concerned me is our lack of electives. I think we said years ago that we want to add electives, and yet in the last 3-4 years, we've lost electives, and somehow or another we've gotten off track. We want to offer more electives to our kids, and I think online is a way that we can do this. And
we have teachers at the high school that can right now step in and do electives.
Yeah.
We have to compensate them somehow, but you'd be shocked the number of teachers there that I've talked to that can do so many different things. Mm-hmm. So we're not really tapping into what we already have.
And that's part of this development of our curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we see that with the electives we have now being so loaded in some of them.
So we need a person to.
Well, I was going to say, guys, we have a very small system here, but like I think Mr. Shepherd's alluded to earlier in this meeting, is it doesn't matter. We are under the same standards and regulations as Fairfax, mm-hmm. and we've got a very skeleton crew here, and I can't add a job like this to another person. They're not going to be able to do it. I'm telling you right now. We're all just like teachers and everybody. We're all up to our eyeballs and stuff. So this is not something I can say. All right, Laura, you pick this up. That's all I've got, you know. And she's great, but I'm not going to say, Laura, you pick this up, or you pick this up. Well, that's it. There's nobody else. There's nobody else.
Laura.
Kelly, I can't give it to Kelly because I'm afraid of Kelly. So there's just not. I mean, I've got to have some help, and if you all would be willing to entertain that, I'll come up with some kind of description for you to look at, and hopefully I can have that done in a very short period of time. But it's like in the instructional plan updates. So we haven't been able to hit that. We need to, but we've not been able to hit it because we just haven't had the time to set aside to do that. That's a timely thing, and it takes a lot of. The COVID has been.
All right. I
just can't tell you how much time that's taken, and we need to do a little bit better job of that. We need to get the best bang for our buck, and I've killed Lenore with that, and you know I'm sure she'll agree with me on that. I send things to her, I say, Lenore, let's get this, Lenore, let's get that, and she does it. So we need help with the online classes. We need to have a plan with how are we going to reach all our kids in Blaine County. We still don't have a plan on that. I mean, I listened to, I'll pick on Laura again today because She doesn't have any internet service right now, no cell service, is that correct?
Have not since Friday.
She's climbing the telephone pole to use a telephone. And so we've still got those kind of issues here in the county too. So we need some help. We need, I can't just, I'm sorry, but I can't dump this on somebody. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I have nobody.
And something from the selfish point of view, and I'll call it selfish, but we need our students. The school system is funded by the number of students we have. And if students decide to, I'll say, not enter our system for whatever reason, be it the fact that they can take virtual Virginia and, we need to be able to offer things to our students that make them want to be part of our organization. Because if they decide not to be part of our organization, it's going to be hard to keep our organization afloat. And people need to understand that. It's
And they deserve that.
Oh,
and
I
they
forgot
deserve
about
that.
Denise. I could put that on her.
And there's much
Sitting
more.
over there like a church mouse.
There's much more to education than just taking classes.
Yeah.
There's all the social side, the social development, the interpersonal, the sports, the clubs, the proms, the paint in the parking lot, all the things that you think about after you graduate and how it helped you develop. And we've got to make sure that we're offering all of those things as part of our curriculum. So what I hear you saying, Scott, is you take the task of basically developing the requirements of this job and fleshing out a description.
I can do that, yeah. As long as you all be open-minded about it and consider it, I'll be glad to sit down and work out something.
I'll make that motion.
Should make.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Puckett?
For.
Mr. Petrie?
4.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
Four. I think that gets us down to personnel recommendations. We had one individual.
Well, actually, we have one.
2, yeah.
But we're going to have to add one that you guys did a poll vote on, but.
I think both of these actually have been approved.
So they, I would recommend that you accept the position of Blaine Hannah Cox as a 6th grade teacher at the elementary school.
And I'll make the motion on both of those to accept.
I'll second.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
For.
Mr.
Four.
Petrie?
Four.
Mr. Shepherd?
And I'll make a motion, we escape.
Yeah, and I got to say, you guys are tough.
I know, this is a tough
Hung
group.
with us through the whole thing.
Huh? I don't think we had to vote on delivery, did we? Was we going to add that as an action agenda
What's that?
for the
The
delivery? Do we have to vote on that, or?
Yeah, we were supposed to add that in my definition on
All the curriculum.
the curriculum.
Yeah. Well, can we add a?
Add a.
You can have it on the agenda again.
Well,
Agenda.
Well, agenda.
I mean-
Agenda amendment.
Well, agenda amendment.
Okay,
Add
we add the,
HI.
I recommend that you allow us to deliver meals on the Wednesdays of each week.
Okay, so do we need to make a motion to amend the agenda? So I make a motion to add I to the agenda. Somebody will second that. Karen seconded.
I'll second.
And I'll go 4.
Sorry.
4.
For.
For.
And that's
You got
amending
four-
the
you
agenda.
got 4 fours.
We got 4 fours. And then I'll go ahead and make the motion to allow the delivery. So
And we're assuming at this time that we're going to use in-house resources that are already paid
Yes.
for, right?
Yeah.
You have bus drivers that's getting, don't work on Wednesdays, probably do it, and paraprofessionals.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make that. And we're gonna rotate bus drivers through that way.
Well, I assume you'll ask for volunteers.
Whatever.
Whoever's available.
Whoever would want
And
to.
then if nobody volunteers, we'll volunteer people.
Yeah, there you go.
One other thing before we adjourn.
Wait a minute, we got to
We gotta
vote
vote
on
on
this.
this
Hang
one.
on.
Second.
Make the motion.
I made the
He made
motion.
the
Okay,
motion.
second then.
4.
4.
4.
4.
Okay.
You got us trained.
One other thing, we need to thank Angel and Joe.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Yes,
They've done
Yeah.
a great
Appreciate
job.
you guys.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Probably need
Sorry
it.
to hold you up so long, it's gonna get better.
Can you
we
tell if
promise.
anybody watched us?
Nobody.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. Yes.
Somebody
there's
did? Okay.
Somebody did,
There's
okay.
people that don't.
Well, we're famous after all. Okay, did we adjourn yet?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Bailey?
4.
Mr. Petrie?
4.
Ms. Puckett?
4.
Mr. Shepherd?
4.
We had 39 watching right now.
Okay.
How many?
Thank you, everybody.
But,
39
yeah, but there's always more that show
on
up.
Facebook.